นะฮะคุณผู้ชมน้องๆนะครับก็ได้มีโอกาสมาสัมผัสบรรยากาศนะครับที่อยู่บนแทร็กแบบนี้เลยนะ
And welcome back, ladies and gents, for 2025. It's been a long wait, a long off season, but we are back and we are in action once again. The English language coverage for the Thailand Super Series coming your way all across the weekend. We have Friday afternoon action, we have Saturday action, and right through until your Sunday. Qualifying for all of our categories is now in the books. We will have some racing action for you here this afternoon as well, so get yourself set in and ready for that. Scott Rankin alongside of Reese Gardner. And Reese, it's been a while since we've been out here for Thailand Super Series, all the way back in December. We've had testing, although already this year, and now we get the first bites of the racing action.
Yeah, we absolutely do, Scott. Fantastic for us to be here once again. Thanks to speedcafe.com, bringing you the English language stream for this first round of the championship. We've got a few categories on the cards here for today. We're going to be starting with the Thailand Super Eco race of 12 laps. All races today being 12 laps around the Chang International Circuit. After Super Eco's done, we're going to go for Super Pickup, which we absolutely loved last year. Particularly looking forward to the Division 2 and Division 1 races coming up in, I'd say, just under an hour's time.
One of the biggest things, and I can see already our YouTube chat's already cottoned onto it as well. Yeah, this is going to be the first year that SRO and balance of performance will be in operation for the Thailand Super Series as well. So expect the GT3 side of things to continue to grow. Look, I mean, you know, it's one of the biggest things when you get into Thailand racing action. A lot of people do actually forget is, you know, quite a strong country internationally in terms of the driver capabilities. I mean, Alex Albon's probably the most notable exception, notable instance of Thai drivers, and you can see the fan engagement already in action down on the starting grid, and Super Eco will be the first of those categories. But yeah, look, I think SRO coming on board is such a huge thing because, you know, we're going to be internationally recognized. But it's so many more eyes on the Thai calendar. That can never be a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, since we've been doing the English language commentary for TSS, we've really had our eyes opened to the racing scene in Thailand, and it's really fantastic. There's a huge breadth of talent involved in this area of the world that doesn't usually get the publicity that we see from, you know, the likes of the European and American and even Australian racing scenes. So to see that SRO have come on board to you know, make it official, so to speak, with their balance of performance figures and the like is a huge move, and I think this is going to be the biggest year for TSS yet.
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, it's just you can't lose when that's one of the things, right? So, you know, also we're going to have all of the racing categories, the support categories that we've seen over the last couple of years. The Super Pickups have had a fair few updates to the regulations. For those, you'll be seeing them in operation this afternoon. Both A and B class will be the second race of the afternoon after the Super Ecos we've got along here. And then from there, we'll be moving on to the C class drivers as well. So both Super Pickups in action this afternoon. Pole position for racing here in the Super Ecos is going to be that of Vong Sapatkat Siri in the number 33 machines. So we'll be in operation very, very shortly with all of our racing. 3 overall drivers in the category here for Super Eco this afternoon. The majority of the drivers are going to be a C plus category, and then your C-class drivers, there's also 3 of those. So, you know, a good mix in terms of the field. You know, this is where you start. You got to start at the bottom, work your way up, and it's always important to get lower-level production car racing circulating in amongst the big stuff everywhere you go right around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we all love our GT3s and the like, but you need a method to get there, don't you? And the drivers who start off in these lower categories, they use that as a stepping stone up to those higher categories of motorsport. If you want to go TCR racing, for example, production car racing is the perfect place to get started because it's basically the same style of racing. You've got your front wheel drive hatchbacks for the most part racing in this series. And, well, if there isn't a ladder, you can't climb.
Yeah, for sure. Worthwhile pointing out as well as seeing a few results coming our way out of practice across the weekend. Worthwhile pointing out that the B-Quik stable of GT3 cars, as we'll get through throughout the weekend as well. Remember, Audis are on the way out. The last of the Audi R8s rolled off the production line, which means the Evo 2 spec chassis, and we do wait for more information about what's happening with the Audi program internationally. Well, the B-Quik Absolute stable, they couldn't wait. They have secured themselves a Porsche 992 because they're testing alternatives to run, looking into their future as well. That's a big thing. Obviously, I don't know about you, Reese, but I'm expecting there to be something to fill the void of the Audi R8. Like, I just don't see Audi walking away from GT3 racing when they've been so successful.
Yeah, I don't see it either, but Audi's racing history has been a bit patchy on the global scene as of recent. They first made those headlines in the early 2000s when they were racing at Le Mans and all that, taking the first Le Mans win for a diesel-powered car with the R10 in 2006 and going from height to height, winning record amounts of races worldwide, and then after the LMP1 era sort of died off, they've really contracted their efforts. I mean, I think a big part of that is that Audi and Porsche are effectively run by the same company, and to have them, sort of competing against each other sometimes probably doesn't go down too well from the corporate side. But that's all much of a muchness in the end. It is a shame to see that Audi is sort of winding down a little bit, but I do hope that there's something on the cards for the future because I love seeing those four rings out there.
Yeah, that's something that like I said, we'll be talking more about during some of the latter stages of the weekend for sure. But for right now, what we do have is a grid coming your way for the Thailand Super Ecos and your first race of the 2025 season. And have a look at the weather in the background of that shot. Could be playing a little bit of a card later on in the weekend should that prevail. That is a storm building in the background. Vongsapak at Siri in the number 33 entry took pole position. The 98 Messina of Chinovich has the outside of row number 1. 74, Mohammed Hasif is going to be off of row 2 in third. 61 of Sorowich is going to be fourth. We did see the number 90 machine just a few moments ago, Naranapath. He'll be fifth. The number 2 of Yot Bonchu will be sixth. 65 machine of Ronnie Risman, and then this car, the 26 machine of Adapon. Once again, the B-Quik racing team entry back once again. From here on back, we'll get to 35th Super Choc and his machine. And finally, rounding out the top 10 will be the 91 of Aniki bin Hafifi. Returns yet again for the 2025 season.
Indeed. Going back to around 11th or so as we check out Anaki there off that 10th spot. You can tell what he wants to do. He's looking to move his way forward in this race. We'll see if the weather is going to affect that somewhat. The bit of wind in the background as well being pointed out by Dan Yeaman, who's assisting us behind the scenes to bring this production to you. We have Nat Imjipanyaya there on position number 11, and the 46 is hoping to move his way forward there. 5 minutes to go. We are getting ready for the start very shortly here. Mekarad Kita here in the number 9, going to be starting out of P12. And one thing that I really love with this series is how the drivers hype themselves up every time the camera goes to them. You don't often see that in other racing series. Buntavi here in the number 56 going to be starting lucky 13th for this one in a field that is dominated by Thai drivers. We do have a few Malaysians here on the grid as well. Highest of them is Mohammed Hasif starting in third. Moving back to Rapatkorn Wong Siri in the number 87 to start out of 14th position, and moving on to the 8th row very shortly before we check out the number 15 of Kazuo Tsukamoto. Let's see what he can do here in the Bushido Racing number 32.
So worthwhile pointing out for this afternoon's categories as well, Reese. I was just reading through the regs. So we get the 6 machine of Adele. And the national championships fall under the B-Quik Thailand Super Series branding. Of those, you're going to see the Super Touring Championship, which renamed Super Compact, I believe, from 2024. Super Pickup Championship and the Super Eco. They are the 3 national championships that are on display here. As we see the 14 machine of Mohammed. Get back to the second of the B-Quik Racing Team entries, and it's the 25 machine of Pancha. And then the international categories, which are all of your branded under the Super Series by B-Quik. TSS Supercar Championships for 2025 are going to be GT3, GTM, GT4, GTC, and a new series for 2025, which is the Porsche Sprint Trophy. We're getting more into that as well. Ntaya in the number 57 machine will be out on 19th, and then one more to round out our top 20 as well, which is the number 99 machine of Natnan. So that's sort of a fair bit of what we'll be seeing that'll be new for 2025, which there's more to come because we've got to do some more reading and find out some more information about the Porsche Sprint Trophy Thailand, which of course we won't be seeing any of that action here this afternoon unless all of a sudden, you know it'd be fantastic, races if they brought out a pickup truck from Porsche, and then we could have Porsche in the Super Pickups.
Yeah. Wouldn't that just be fantastic? I mean,
the fans want to see it.
Hey, look, Volkswagen and Mercedes have brought out pickup trucks. Come on, Porsche, get with the program.
Get back through the last of the grid as we get back to 23rd placed number 24 of Sarawak. Of course, 21st and 22nd will be the 7 machine of Sittinen and the 68 of Siripakorn. And that is your field of 2023 entrants for Thailand Super Eco for 2025, or at least for round 1 of 2025, who will make the conclusion of the 12 laps, and we wait the 1 minute board, at which point everybody will clear that grid and cars will be fired up and we'll be moving down into turn 1. Worthwhile taking a little bit of a look at the weather for Buriram in Thailand here today, and I can tell you based upon that it's probably not too hot at the moment. Well, I lied. It's 33 degrees Celsius, and in typical Thai fashion, the humidity is actually not too bad today. Only 61% humidity. However, light thunderstorms and rain are predicted for this afternoon. Anytime, the worst chance of rain is about 2 p.m., and we are just prior to 2 p.m. Thai time. That'll be in about 10 minutes time. We carry a 45% chance of rain right through to about 4:35. So there is a strong chance of that storm in the background hitting us at some point. It actually makes me more excited for the Super Pickup categories. Could you imagine pickup trucks getting around the Chang International Circuit in the wet? That's going to be unique.
Yeah, certainly. Plenty of those drivers plenty of those trucks, will be 4-wheel drive, so shouldn't have much of a problem getting out of the corners there. But these cars all front-wheel drive here in Super Compact as they tour their way around the formation lap. And we'll find our way around Chang International Circuit for the first time in slow motion. Already our pole sitter doing his best to warm up the tyres here. You want those tyres as hot as possible for tackling this circuit. Chang International, oh dear, looks like there's a car stalled on the grid. That's the number 57. That's Nutaya Nuntamanop there that's unfortunately not been able to get going as the rest of the field makes their way down the straight to turn 3. Well, Super Eco by B-Quik. This is going to be the official start of the race here. Chang International Circuit. What a beautiful track this is. A truly modern venue in every sense of the word. Sector 1 pretty simple. Make your way through turn 1 down to the entry to turn 3. And the third and final sector is the most complex. There's 12 turns around here, 4.5 Ks long, and every single one of these corners has proven to be a challenge, especially considering what we saw the final round last year.
Yeah, and don't forget the dip down at 9, 10, and 11 as you sort of go through the dip and then back up and out through the crest. Super Eco and Super Pickups are going to be on the semi-slicks Aventus RS4s with thanks to the official tyre supplier of Hankook. And tell you what, the benefit of all the racing action here this afternoon, you couldn't have planned that better. They won't have to make a decision about which tyre to start on. They'll all be on the semi-slick. There will be no other option. There is just a semi-slick. So if that rain comes down, there will be no need for pit stops here this afternoon with the categories we've got in offer. Once again, confirmation of your grid. Vongsapat from Chinovich on your front row. Mohammed Hasif and Sorowich on row number 2. Row number 3 is going to be that of the number 90 machine of Nirunanapath. And Yacht Bonju will be to his outside in the number 2. Roni in the Insane Motorsports 65 and Adapon, the B-Quik Absolute 26, will be out of 7th and 8th. Super Choc and Aniki Bin will be on row number 5, running out the top 12. Nat in the 46 machine and Mekaridita in the 12th spot, number 9 race.
Yep, starting once again out of lucky 13th, that number 56 of Buntavi Najit. And well, I gotta wait to see if that car that stalled has gotten back out onto the racetrack. Rapidcorn, Kazuo, and Adele rounding out your top 16, with Muhammad starting out of 17th alongside Pancha there in 18th. Top 20 rounded out by Nutaya, one of many female drivers in this field. Top 20 rounded out by Natanan Puratongkam. Sitanun Pikulkajon and Sirapakorn Yebion in 21st and 22nd. Field rounded out by Sarawut Wongpotasan there in the number 24. It looks like we've gotten round to begin this race here. The car that was stricken on the grid there seems to have been removed from the circuit, if what I'm seeing in the back of frame is any indication. But we're getting ready here for the standing start. This is going to be an important one. Look at the angle there from the pole sitter. He wants to get to the inside of turn 1 as soon as possible.
Yeah, looking to cover things off is the number 33 entry. Wonder whether or not there might be a grid violation for that one. We'll have to wait and see. Have a look at the wind as it starts to build. This will be this race start for your Thailand Super Ecos. We've waited a long time for 2025 to come to us. It is now here. It is now time to go racing for your Thailand Super Series for 2025. Ecos, what will they have for us? As we wait, lights start to come on. Here we go. Run for the first time down to turn 1 for 2025. And it looks like a good getaway from the first row. Couple rows back. There's already somebody who's dived way out to the outside of the circuit. Will be looking for a run through. And have a look at the B-Quik machine. And he's going to try and cut their way through. Adapon looks like he grabbed a couple spots, but 33 will lead us through turn 1. And as usual, track limits, optional at turn 1 as they use every little bit of road available to them.
Yep, bit of paint out there, less grip, but that's not going to mean much here on the first lap as long as you stay out of trouble. That is the way of it, and they'll all fan out there. The number 57 of Nataya Nuntamanop has managed to make it out of pit lane. A pit lane start for the car after they couldn't get it started on the grid. Move for second place. 98 and 61 trading positions there as the track widens out on the way into turn 3 here at Chang. Then another blast down the back straight before we get into a very difficult sequence. Fast corner coming up. Keeping an eye on the number 2 there as they find their way down. This is going to be difficult here. Mekarad Kita making the move into 8th place, though, up the inside into the difficult fast right-hander. Beautiful shot as they find their way down here, and there's a spin behind.
Yeah, hard and into the barriers, and that may not be a car that's going very, very much further. It will be one of the orange numbered machines, the 32 machine of Kazoo. He was off the back row of the grid. He actually looked like he gained about 4 or 5 spots on the run down to turn 1 through the first half of the lap, and that's gained a significant amount of spots. He's probably gained about 7 or 8 there before coming into the barriers. I just wonder whether or not there might have been touch of contact, because it's unlikely a car would have pivoted like that without a little bit of assistance.
Yeah, well, cold tyres, coming off a fast corner and getting immediately on the brakes again, it can really unsettle these front-wheel drive cars. So there's potential there that Kazuo just lost it by himself with the tyres not quite being up to temperature yet. So we might get some further word later on as to what happened to him, but Regardless, this is where we're at, almost 3 wide, coming into the final corner and trying to defend around the outside there. Easy does it on your way down to the end of the first lap. This is crazy here. The 2 and the 9 together, Mekarad Kita and Yacht Bunchu, and it looks like Bunchu there on the inside, but super late on the brakes is Mekarad Kita, keeps the position, and Super Choc will take advantage as well in the number 35 to move up to 8th.
Yeah, he's going to cut his way through, going the long way around at turn number 1. As we're waiting for more pictures to come in from the circuit, we'll let you all know, watching along at home, they have been having issues with the feed, unfortunately, already this weekend. And a large part of the reason for that was due to thunderstorms and rain in the area actually earlier on in the day. So we've lost, unfortunately, by the looks of it, all feeds, which have now returned to us. So we have got them back as we go back to racing once more.
Yep, past the MotoGP long lap here, as they're really using the curbs to their full effect, aren't they? This is quite substantial, the amount that goes through the suspensions of these cars. Number 25 there chasing, and that's just trying to break into the top 10. Oh dear, and it looks like that's back in the pits there for Kazuo, and he's gained some damage there getting into the wall. They're patching up that car, and the number 33 as well out front. It's pretty much been a trouble-free race for Vongsapat so far. He's holding on very nicely to the lead, and that car is looking supreme here. So coming up to 10 laps to go. We'll keep an eye on the lap times here, but it looks like no one is able to match the leader at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I am just wondering whether or not, because I'm seeing a few drivers going for the wipers, so I think that might be a touch of oil or something on the viper. We're not seeing a huge number of the drivers going for the wipers, so I don't think it's rain just yet. Although that just might be the wipers stuck on, unfortunately. As we're keeping our eyes on the 74 machines, that would be Sorowich just in front of him with the wipers on and off. But very gloomy at the circuit at the moment. Remember, it's 2 o'clock over there inside time right now, so it should be a fair bit brighter than this, as they are in the middle of spring, or very late spring at the moment.
Yeah, close to the equator, of course, so it's warm and humid almost all year round. Big pack starting to form here as the number 9 of Mekarad Kita now up into 7th and challenging for a top 6 place. Got Atapon Kayosa there in 6th, trying to defend, lifting off just a bit there into the turn, as it seems like some gains being made there by Yacht Bunchu, but he's gone very wide. And that's going to be a safe re-entry, but would he have gained an advantage from going off like that? Plenty of dust in the runoff area.
There's still more running wide as they got down to the next corner as well. So it was 5 and 6. And bumper to bumper at the moment.
Super Choc trying to defend 9th place there. Looks like half a look from Anaki bin Hafifi. But he'll yield for the moment here as they come into the final sector.
That's it. Down through 9, 10, which is the left-hander here as they come back up. And over the crest, through the right-hander at 11. Lap times as they're coming into the final sector. Most recently, looks like we've just had a new fastest lap of the race set by our race leader. So Vongsapat just set a 2:08.035, and next closest over a second slower. So at the moment, Vongsapat is clearly getting away at the head of the field.
Yeah, leading by nearly 4.5 seconds at the timing line. The fight's still continuing here for 6th place. Atapon holding off Mekarad Kita for the time being, but the slipstream will come into effect here down the straight, and that was a big exit there from Yacht Bunchu behind. He's going to carry that momentum all the way down the straight here. What kind of dives are we going to see? Looking back further, the 35 and the 91 side by side here. And the 90's going to make sure that he's in there as well. Narunapath, Superchok, and Anaki Bin Hafifi 3 wide through turn 3. And they just managed to get out unscathed. They have lost time to that 6th place battle ahead of them.
Yep, well, they're all going to have to feed back in now as Narunapath takes advantage in this battle pack. So this is for the back end of the top 10. And they're going to need to work together a little bit. Might have been a flag for debris as well as they got down into turn number 4. Maybe something on the circuit which might explain the wipers that we're seeing. Lock of the brakes now from the orange machine. That'll be Boontavi. As he got to the inside, 91 once again will be Aniki Bin Hafifi. Trying to go toe-to-toe on the 35 machine. So this will be for 10th and 11th on the racetrack.
Yes, down into the corner they come, and it looks like the position will be taken there. Pack a bit further behind. And I've been doing a bit of thinking actually about that debris flag that we saw there earlier. Might there have been some oil potentially laid down by a car at the front of the field on the formation lap, and that might have been the reason that we saw Kazuo go for his spin?
Yeah, potentially. Either way, debris flag out, and also to explain the number of wipers that are going back and forth at the moment as they'd be desperately trying to clean any oil off the screen. If there is some. Certainly not seeing lap times fall off to any stretch of the imagination that would tell us that there's rain in the area. They'd need a fair bit of rain at the moment because the track would be rather warm as well. So I'm not expecting it. Go ahead.
Just getting some news from Race Control. Black and white flag for exceeding track limits for car 14. That's Mohammed Harulzanam, who's currently in 15th place. So that's the first decision that Race Control's made thus far. Problem for Superchok. Oh dear. He's the marshal's out there with him too. There's, oh dear. Okay, there's probably some kind of incident here that we've missed here. Sarawut has gone for a spin as well, and it looks like the boot lid's actually loose on that car. There's been some kind of issue there. Expansive runoff areas at Chang International Circuit, but still, that might be cause for a safety car if they can't get that car moving.
Was parked up there for an extended period of time, so round goes the 24 machine on his own. Looks like a touch too hot into the corner. Solo wins it by the look of that one, but 35 of Superchok. Just gone missing at the next timing sector. He's never arrived.
Looks like we have another visit to the pits as well for Nutaya in the number 57, who's been suffering plenty of issues so far in this race. Couldn't even take to the start on the grid. Move further back here and check back in with our leader, and even he's on the wipers now. So question is rain falling at the moment? And if rain isn't falling, then what's causing all this wiper usage? It is rain.
You saw gloom in the background, and it's starting to get a little bit hazy and foggy. I would say that's rain. It's starting to fall at the circuit. Not enough that they're all on them, but enough that we're starting to see wipers being deployed. In the meantime, all is well at the front of the field. I can tell you, Vonkstapat's lap time just fell by over a second. And I'm seeing about a second worth of fall off up and down the field as well. So it would not surprise me if we are starting to see grip go away a fraction. Could be the tyres overheating. Remember, semi-slick, the car will move around a little bit on that tyre. So it could be a touch of degradation happening as well. Not confirmation of what we're thinking is happening, but certainly signs are starting to suggest the track is getting a lot more greasy.
Yeah, that might explain why we've seen so many slides. This is a four-way battle for second that we're looking at here. Leader of Eco C Plus is Chinovich there in the number 98 at the front of this train. Mohammed Hasif, Sorowich, and Ronnie Risman all behind him here.
Update race circuit has been declared wet. It is rain we're seeing.
Well, Obviously not wet all the way around. The cars are still managing to carry some good speed through these corners, but it is wet enough that we are seeing some greasy goings on around here. And that's such a difficult phase of the track getting wet. You know, you've gotten used to the track being dry. You're attacking the circuit like you normally would. There's just enough water that it starts to get greasy out there and you start to slip around. It offers up an opportunity for your rivals to get through here as Mohammed Hasif tries up the inside of Chinovich. Can he get the move done at the next corner? He certainly can, but is there going to be a cutback from the 98?
Yeah, he'll have to come back at him, see what he can try and find, but for the meantime, it is the change of position. And that will be 74 machine moving to the lead of this one, moving to the second place position in this little battle pack at the moment. It's starting to go a little bit nuts. Here comes Ronnie Risman, who was looking for an opportunity to get to the inside. Later on the brakes with Sorowich in the last corner. Have a look. You can see the sheen on the surface down the final corner. And there's the spray. It is wet now in Buriram for the first time since we've been on the call. We've been waiting 2.5 years for rain at the Chang International Circuit. We finally got it in day one of the 2025 season. And there's confirmation. It is wet. Have a look at the wind. The marshals are getting hammered with the rain at the moment.
Yeah, this is crazy. I'm surprised he's able to hold that sign steady with all the gusting that we're seeing around the circuit. Great move for second there from Mohammed Hasif. And he has left these guys behind. Is that a wiper blade that's gone astray there for the number 98? I'm not sure what's going on there on the right-hand side of the car. Now that he's lost second, he's really having to get on the defense here. And it looks like there might be something a bit off with that car. Seal maybe. Oh, that's the final corner there. Number 24 of Sarawut going wide there. Now it becomes a battle for third as it looks like Mohammed Hasif is saying, run away. They are battling hard behind me. Contact coming into the corner. This is great racing. I think the best racing always seems to happen, Scott, when the track is only slightly wet.
Well, slightly wet. It's getting more wet in the final section, but it hasn't carried over the whole track. You can just start to see touch of spray, touch of grease where they are on track at the moment. But it's those last corner, that very last corner is the wettest part of the track at the moment. So it's hitting from there first and heading across the rest of the track. But we're not seeing those elements at the moment. Nearly 3/4 of the way through the lap at the moment. There is the rain.
Down there.
That's where it starts to get wet. So that's the run between 8 and 9.
All right, watch this in a second, we're being told. Look at the rain falling. Yeah, I can see those raindrops. It's actually looking pretty heavy here at the start-finish end of the circuit. So the drivers already starting to turn their headlights on here just for the sake of visibility. 6 laps to go. They're going to have to suffer for a bit longer. How do they pull it up here for the final corner? They just managed to get through it there, but just beyond the curbs there, it's so slippery for the 65 of Ronnie Risman. And he suffers in terms of traction, doesn't he?
Absolutely. He tried to pick up the throttle and the thing just went side. He just kept wanting to go straight whilst he's trying to pick that up. So couldn't turn the car, couldn't get back to the gas, had a lot of problems there. Trying to flow it through at turn 1 as well. Track limits warnings coming through now for the 46 and 65 machines. That will be that of
this car right here, Ronnie Risman.
Yeah. Well, that came through just before, and then he went wide at the final corner again. The 46 Nat down in 18th.
Yeah. And it looks like we've gotten a time penalty come through from race control as well. For the 56, a 5-second time penalty for a driving infringement, and that's Boontaby. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there for Boontaby. I mean, he's down in 12th at the moment, and he's been holding on to that place for a while. So incident with a car in that general area. My God! Oh, dearie me! That is massive debris on the track. And the 74, Mohammed Hasif, who took second place in style, the rear windscreen is gone from that car.
Yeah, he'll have to return to the pit lane. There's no way he'll be allowed to continue with that in that condition, particularly with the tail lights hanging out. Have a look at last lap. It was nearly dry. It was a little greasy. Now it is soaking wet. as they go through the middle sector. And this is getting worse and worse by the moment. The wipers are going madly on all of the Super Ecos. We started off with a green track. We started off with a dry track. And it is now, it's beyond intermediate. I'd say we are rapidly approaching a wet track. Round goes the 6 machine as well. Here we go. Adele will slide down through the field. It's a game of survival as much as it is speed.
Yeah, Mohammed Hasif trying to get that car back to pit lane now. And there will be debris on the circuit as well in that location. So I think the marshals are going to have their work cut out for them, waving those red and yellow striped flags.
Look,
you can barely see anything. This is crazy.
Oh, word. Somebody better be on the radio and letting him know he probably needs to come to pit lane here and have that car inspected down the inside. The 91 machine will skate wide. As there was that a puddle at the middle of the final corner?
Big puddle. Think of the biggest bucket in the universe. It has just been dumped on Chang International Circuit. This track is soaking wet now, and visibility is a real concern.
Roll speeds alone. There's more contact at turn 1. The 74 machine continues to tumble through the field. Well, I think that debris has been ejected off the rear end of the 74 car now, but he is really struggling for grip and straight line speed. Nicky Pinafifi is starting to make a little bit of time, but you can just see. I just wonder whether or not you can actually see through. Oh, that looks like a windscreen that might be fogged up on the inside.
Yeah,
that's a much better visibility for the 33.
Yeah, most of these cars, you can't even see into them, where you were able to earlier on. A race leader here, still holding on beautifully at the front of the field, but you go further back and many windscreens are fogged up. Now the 57 has had another problem. Nataya, who has had an absolutely horrific first race here, stopped on the circuit. She's not moving. That's at the apex of the corner, managing to just get out of the way.
It's on the grass though, and the grass will be sodden with the amount of water that's just been thrown at it. So trying to get that car back will be an issue if you can get it off grass. Braking on the curve is rather difficult, out of control. And Chinovic, it looks like whilst he might have had speed in the dry conditions, wet weather seems to be a lot more treacherous and a lot more tricky for him, struggling to get the car to turn in. Remember, you're going to not want to be where that rubber is laid down, but remember, offline is so dirty as well, so it's going to take a while to clean that up.
Yeah, and the white lines, the curbs, the painted tarmac, the water just sits on top of those, and it means that if you want to try and go for a move into the final corner, you got to make sure you're as far away from all of that as possible. Well, 3 laps to go. And looks like it's still roughly the same gap that Vongsapat holds over the rest of the field. Ronnie Risman in the number 65 has managed to hold on in second there. 6.8 seconds behind our leader. Yeah, oh yeah, have a look at the last lap times there. Vongsapat actually a little bit slower this time around. Ronnie and Sorowich starting to catch up, but there's only 3 laps to go. I doubt that there's enough time for them to really make up that gap.
No, not really. But remember, we're talking about fastest lap of the race was 2:08.035. We've fallen off 15 seconds. And now, is it just me or is the range is still not hit down at turn 3? Because it's compared to, look at the run between turn 1 and turn 2. Sorry, the run down to turn 1. And that is treacherous, difficult to see. This is the run out of turn 1. And I want to see that shot when we get down to turn 3 again, because halfway down this straight, it just clears up.
Wiper's working like mad on the number 2 there. I haven't seen a wiper blade move that fast in a very long time, but fair play to them. You know, you need to keep it visible. Yeah, you're right. There's barely any wetness down at turn 2 there. I do see a little bit of spray, but that might be spray that's just been carried over from the other parts of the circuit. It's definitely not as wet.
Yeah, you can there's still a sheen out in those curbs. There has been some rain reach this end of the circuit, but nowhere near as much. My word, I just cannot believe the difference in conditions. This isn't, you know, this is a sort of a conditional change you'd expect to see out of somewhere big like Spa. You wouldn't expect to see it here where the track is, you know, it's still a reasonably sized track, but the length of the lap's certainly nowhere near.
around the number 14, having a look up the inside of the 68. That's the battle for 14th between Siripicorn and Mohammed Harunazam. The fight will continue through the twisties here, as it looks like that's a bit wide there for the 35. And the safety car has been called, apparently, due to track surface conditions. That is on the boards there. Ah, well, things are going to...
Oh, just aquaplane straight off.
Oh, hello. Looks like the 57 with another problem there. Struggling to keep it straight in these conditions, and, no, I don't think you should be necessarily doing that under safety car conditions. Get back into line, and the Toyota Camry will pick up the front of our field here. Looks like we might finish this race under safety car. It's clearly too treacherous for the drivers out there.
Yeah, we've been looking to pick up the race leader, 33, who's just gone past the safety car. I don't think that he knows that he's the leader. So they'll try and pick him back up. Remember, that's a safety car. Instructions being given with a little bit of hand waving, and that has now been picked up correctly. Safety car was trying to wave by cars to pick up the race leader, and the race leader was not 100% aware of where he was running in position.
Ronnie Rissman has apparently actually passed Vong Sapat there. I think the safety car is instructing him to fall back behind and back into second place, which is where he was when the safety car was called, but the red flag is now out. And so all of that is just going to fall into insignificance. The cars will have to turn back to pit lane. Thumbs up there from the safety car driver, unless that was a point there. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on here, but clearly some confusion happening out on the circuit. Regardless, all the cars are going to be returning to pit lane, and when the race eventually does get restarted, we'll see them. Man, pit lane is soaking. This is crazy. Maybe the race won't resume with the amount of standing water out there.
Worthwhile noting, Reese, we've got a lap and a half left to go, and by the time they make it back around at pit lane, there'll be 1 lap left. They won't restart it.
Yeah.
Because by the time they do a formation lap, that'll be the end of the race, and confirmation has just come through from race control. Session will not resume. You would assume the 65 machine will be moved back to where he was, because that red flag would have come out and they would have last crossed the start-finish line, which would have been... they would have been in order at that point in time, so they would have been able to take a result there at the conclusion of the 10th lap.
So, effectively, that gives Vongsapat Katsiri the victory here in race 1 of Thailand Super Eco. A race that began in the dry, but then Mother Nature decided to come down from the roof and body slam everybody.
I cannot... So I'll give you the lore behind everything that's gone on with the coverage over the last few years, Reese, because I know you've only been here for bits and pieces of it. Every time we've talked about the weather has run away. As we're getting confirmation, I believe that'll be Ronnie reforming his spot in the order. Yeah, there we go. So that's now been done correctly. So the correct result was finally achieved. In the safety car order, but effectively every time we here in the commentary box have talked about weather has departed. We would look at a rain map, and immediately the rain would disappear off in another direction, the rain would peter out, the rain wouldn't quite reach the circuit. The one day we don't actually talk about the weather all that much, none of us are looking at a weather map, we actually get the rain. So I think I'll know what we'll be doing in the future.
Yep, no more water cooler talk about how's the weather today here up in the commentary box. Just leave the subject alone, and we'll let Mother Nature get to her work. Wiper blade's still flapping like crazy on the number 2 there. It looks like the rain itself has actually cleared up, but all of that water is now on the racetrack, and that's going to take a very long time to clear. I'm wondering how this is going to affect running of the day going forward, because we do have Super Pickup coming up next. They're going to be greeted with a wet track that has been deemed as too wet for the Super Ecos.
Potentially. I mean, we might just do a couple extra formation laps to get everything rolling again before we get out there. That will be the option I think Race Control will try and use. That rain looks like it's eased off again too. So, yeah, that's a lot less gloomy and I don't think rain's falling anymore.
Yeah. It's just one of those, well, I live in Perth, Western Australia, and occasionally we get one of those freak storms that's just isolated to a very small area. It just zooms on past, dumps all its rain, and then that's it for the rest of the day. That might be what we're seeing here. But the field coming into the pit lane. Red flag at the end of race 1 of Thailand Super Eco, in case you've just joined us. The track is incredibly wet. And that's going to be the end of things for this race, as the marshals already out there on the racetrack, potentially picking up debris.
So this
but
one
the winner's circle here now underneath the pit garages there.
This will be post-race tech. Effectively, this will be the garages to get them in, and also keep the camera crews and everything dry as well. Because they'll need to have a look at things. Don't forget that there'll be a drive-through lane there out through to the paddocks. Confirmation. Overall results: Vongsapat from Roni from Sorowich, 33.65 and 61 machines. Overall drivers taking away first and second spot. The first of your C+ class drivers, Sorowich, in third spot. And that's the overall standings. Makared Kita, out of 7th place, will manage to finish third in the overall class-specific podium. Race results for C+ will be Sorowich from Chinovich and Naranapath, which will be 3rd, 4th, and 5th on the road. And then after that, we'll have the Eco C drivers, which will be the 57 machine of Natalia out of 14th spot. 16th spot was Sirabicorn, and 20th spot, the number 6 machine of Adele, will be 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the C-class drivers.
Indeed, and Makared Kita made up some fantastic moves there while the circuit was dry, getting a couple of positions challenging for an overall top 6, but those are your official results there. The fastest time there from Vongsapat. He's clearly come out of this one with a massive statement, but the overall best time there in the race looks like a 2:08.7 from Ronnie Risman. So there's going to be some stiff competition here in Super Eco this season. Vongsapat versus Ronnie at round 1. We'll see if that rivalry carries through the rest of the weekend and to the future rounds.
Yeah, big change up for this class as well. None of those names. There's really only a couple names that have hung around since 2024 as well. So will be a bit of a shake-up in terms of the racing standings as well. And you can just see how glassy the main straight looks at the moment.
Yeah, look at the reflections there. The light display on the start-finish gantry reflecting across the entire circuit, and it's incredibly wet down there as well. Looks like we're going to be getting some interviews here very shortly from our good friend Goody in the pits.
I have a feeling that we're going to be getting this feed sent through in time, because our podium will be Thai driver, Malaysian driver, Thai driver, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So we'll just watch and we'll wait. And I think that's Vongsapat going. I was a little bit nervous coming to the tail end of that race, because that rain came down, and we were in a pretty big lead, is effectively what I think he'd be saying. Sorry, which we're speaking with at the moment. At a 3rd spot, but he made good time. He was quite quick in the wetter conditions as well. He's there and thereabouts in the dry, but the wetter conditions, he actually made quite a significant amount of time.
Yeah, it seems like the changing conditions benefited him, and it was such a fun battle that we saw there for 2nd place. 4 cars involved in that one, and ultimately Ronnie coming up on top in that fight, but Sorowich certainly gave him a big race as well.
Ronnie Risman was making ground at the tail end there as well.
Yeah,
he was looking speedy in the wetter conditions.
I am very excited because I look forward to race in TSS this year. I really aim it since last year. So this opportunity for me with my team Insane Motorsport, they give me an opportunity to race here. So I'm very super excited and I 200% prepared before the race.
Ham now.
Yeah.
All right, by the way, just congratulations for how many times to come here to Thailand?
Actually, this is my third year. Third year since the last 2023.
โอเควันนี้ก็บอกว่าเขาแบบโอ้ excited ตื่นเต้นมากๆนะครับแล้วก็แบบได้ดูการแข่งขัน TSS เนี่ยมาแบบอย่างยาวนานนะครับแล้วก็ดีใจมากๆกับการมาแข่งขันในครั้งนี้แต่ยังไงก็ตามมาวันนี้เนี่ยเขามาเป็นอันดับ2ไม่ธรรมดาจับตาดูให้ดีนะครับ Alright last question leave for comment to Thai fans
Okay. Again, sorry. Okay, thank you everybody from Thailand, Malaysia, everybody, all the fans, keep supporting me, and please keep on supporting us, all the drivers in the series, so we can go forward and more faster.
โอ้โหไม่ใช่ขอบคุณแฟนๆนะครับที่ให้การซัพพอร์ตแล้วก็ให้การดูแลดีอย่างน้อยก็จะดูต่อไปนะฮะกับ TSS นี้ว่าจะเป็นการติดตามเพื่อนกับรอนนี่ Thank you
Ronnie Risman, certainly very hyped out of that second place here. We'll see if this interview is in English with our race winner. Sounds like it's still in Thai. So, man, yeah, you really feel the excitement there from Ronnie. He's very happy with that result.
Well, it looked fun. The racing overall looked like he had a really, really good time. You know, that was the big thing, wasn't it? Was that realistically, the only driver that sort of ran away with things and drove laps out their own was Vongsapat, and we saw the battles up and down the field. That's a big part of the Thailand Super Eco. So those of you who are tuning into the Thailand Super Series for the first time, 3 classes this afternoon, Super Ecos, Super Pickup, A and B, and then the C-Class drivers in a separate category of their own. All 3 of those will be 12-lap distance-based races. The rest of the categories across the weekend, barring I think it was the GTM cars, will be 1 hour in length races, or at least they were for 2024. Expecting the same format here for 2025. So we'll get the opportunity, hopefully, to see the super pickups at the moment. Just waiting updates from race control potentially. But again, that looks so much brighter out there in the background, Reese, and we get the feeling that once some of that water's probably just moved around a little bit, we would very likely get back to racing. It wouldn't surprise me if they went 3 or 4 laps on the safety car, clear some of that water away, and then back to racing.
I think what you've also got to consider is that for the super pickups, they're much heavier than the Super Eco cars, so they'll be able to clear that water much more quickly.
Yeah, replays of race number 1 for 2025 Super Ecos. And the gridding formation, as usual, filled with passionate race car drivers getting amongst it. And that was the confirmation. The 57 machine was wheeled back behind the wall. First race start of the year. Run down to turn number 1. Vongsapat got a great launch away in the middle. A couple cars going backwards. And ultimately, they all made it safely down to turn 1.
Yeah, a little bit of too wide further back in the field as the runoff area was used quite a bit. First real casualty of the race there was Kazuo Tsukamoto there, spinning off down at turn 4 and hitting both ends of the car in the tyre bundle. Certainly could have been worse, but ultimately he had to retire from the race as a result of that. We saw the number 98 machine of Chinovich Romyanon really turning it up out there, and this battle here between the 35 and the 91, big spin for the 24 of Sarawut Wong Potasan, and a huge battle with Ronnie Risman winning the battle for second place that involved 4 cars at one point during the race, but then the rain came down and they started dropping like flies.
Yeah, it was very difficult to keep the cars on the island. This was a huge moment for the 74 machine. It was in a great spot and looked like he might have an opportunity to take away second place. Another spin for the 57 machine, and just look at the water that was being picked up, thrown off the racetrack. Another spin for the 57 machine, really struggling at the back end of things. Safety car was thrown because the track was just simply too wet. They'd finish under safety car conditions, and race win going the way of the number 33.
Yeah, brilliant drive indeed. Dominant performance there, and we'll be very happy with that one. We'll be moving on to Thailand Super Pickup now, And this is where things get really exciting for me. This is my favorite category super pickup. We're going to be seeing some massive, massive sends here from these big pickup trucks.
Yeah, and this is the D2 class, so apologies, I did actually say out in the YouTube land that it would be the A and B class drivers to start us off here this afternoon. Looks like we've got the D2 classifications, which is the C class drivers who will be firing out first off. Numbers down a little bit compared to last year, but again, I believe that's due to a major change up in the regulations of the category. From year to year, 15 cars will be participating in C class or the D2s for super pickups, and then we'll get on to the A and B class drivers after that in D1. But yeah, we should be seeing the big changes to the regulations. There was a lot of discussion in the off-season. Less smoke, I think, is one of the big ones that they were looking to try and do, move this category a little bit in the future. Got a little bit dated, feeling a little bit dated, and I think we'll see that. But the big thing will be keeping an eye on those tyres in wetter conditions over 12 laps.
Yeah, like I implied at the end of Super Eco there, these pickup trucks are much heavier. They put a lot more weight down through those tires that may assist them in clearing the water from the racetrack. So I'm hoping that if the weather holds off, we'll be able to get a full race out of it for these pickups. But there's always that option of the rain coming back down again. The weather here in Southeast Asia is infamously unpredictable.
Well, the big thing is, and what we're seeing at the moment, is all the failures that we've had over the last couple of years in Super Pickup. It's a category that's quite hard on tires. You mentioned hard on cars and parts in general. Turbocharged pickup trucks, it puts a lot of load through the transmission because they are quite heavy, and trying to get a lot of weight down and power down. You add really wings and aero structures to cars like this, and all of a sudden the demands that you put on the powertrain are quite hefty. And it sort of changes the way the car works, and sometimes you can push parts past their limits. We just, year in, year out, we see quite a number of the cars not make the finish, and not uncommon to be seeing cars leaving the circuit left and right. So very excited to see what 2025 holds and what the category is going to have for us here. Super Moncol is going to be out of pole position in that 58 entry that we were just looking at. So who can survive, who can make the end? And, well, one of the bigger benefits is rain in the area. That means that hopefully things will be a lot cooler, which should be a little bit not kinder to the engines.
Yeah, these turbocharged diesel motors in these trucks. I mean, you know, we saw in the sort of highlights a few moments ago here on screen that, especially at race starts, see that huge cloud of black smoke being thrown up by these cars. They run these engines very hard to get the best out of them, and sometimes that is ultimately a little bit too much.
And that'll be the Thai commentary booth, which will be new and upgraded for 2025 as well. How good is it to see the new branding and the new style of the series as we moved into the new year as well, Reese? 2025 really feels like an upgrade right across the board, and I like that. It's time for the series to step into the future. We're seeing that, like we said, Super Compact has been renamed. The category's changed. It's now Super Touring, which is phenomenal, personally, to me. Change of cars, change of drivers, change of mindsets. I can't wait. And, you know, we've been waiting right through the way through the season up until now just to get underway in terms of racing action. Don't forget there was a test day back in March as well. So, you know, first cars broke cover, first paint teams, first times that we were seeing the teams and the drivers working together out on track in new categories for 2025. And, you know, first time we're actually getting to see them go racing here as well. So huge opportunity as we're waiting. We might actually just step away and take a little bit of a break as we wait for the gridding up. We will have a few minutes break in between things, so you can already see that they're starting to get organised, but we'll step away, take a quick breather. We'll be right back with more from the Thailand Super Series.
ขอบคุณนะครับพี่เก๋าครับแน่นอนนะครับคุณผู้ชมครับกับบรรยากาศในสนามช้าง International Circuit จังหวัดบุรีรัมย์แห่งนี้นะครับยังเป็นสนาม Wet Race นะครับซึ่งแน่นอนนะครับเกาหลีอยู่ในรุ่นของ B-Quik Thailand Super Series รุ่นที่อยู่ข้างหลังผมนี้คือรุ่น Thailand Super Pickup Division 2 Class C นะครับ 3 อันดับแรกนะต้องบอกคุณผู้ชมอย่างนี้ว่าคะแนนในการคุริฟายเนี่ยดีทั้ง 3 อันดับเลยจะต่างกันแค่เสี้ยววินาทีนะครับเพราะว่าเข้ามาเนี่ยเป็น1 นาที 58นอกนั้นก็จะเป็นจุดเสี้ยววินาทีทั้ง 3 อันดับแต่อันดับที่เข้ามาเป็นอันดับที่ 1ในกริดที่1เลยนะครับเป็นของบิ๊กสุภาพมงคลเดชเพชรแต่อันดับที่2นะครับอยู่ข้างๆเราแล้วนะครับหมายเลข77นะครับกับกริดที่2นี้เป็นของอนุภาพสีครังตามไปดูกันไหมว่าอนุภาพสีครังเป็นยังไงแต่ก่อนตามไปสีครังบิ๊กมาแล้วไปสัมภาษณ์บิ๊กหน่อยว่าเป็นยังไงบ้างตอนนี้นะครับบรรยากาศดีๆก็เป็นอีกหนึ่งบรรยากาศนะครับกับการแข่งขันในสนามแบบเปียกแบบนี้นั่นเองนะฮะเอาละฮะเราอยู่ตรงหน้าประตูนะครับของบิ๊กแล้วนะครับสวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับบิ๊กครับสวัสดีครับเป็นยังไงบ้างครับ
ก็ไม่คิดว่าจะเจอฝน
ไม่คิดว่าจะเจอฝน
ใช่ครับ
แล้วเราต้องเตรียมความพร้อมอย่างไรคือก่อนหน้านี้เตรียมออกมาแบบสนามแห้งเลยนะแต่พอฝนตกปุ๊บเนี่ยรุ่นเราคือรุ่นต่อคิวเนี่ยเราต้องเปลี่ยนยางเปลี่ยนอะไรถูกไหมฮะ
ใช่ครับก็เตรียมลมยางปรับลมยางมาครับ
ทีนี้เรื่องการเตรียมความพร้อมสำหรับแผนในสนามเปียกเนี่ยเราจะขับขี่แตกต่างจากสนามปกติยังไงบ้างฮะ
ก็ต้องคุมคันเร่งให้สม่ำเสมอมากกว่าครับ
ครับ
ใช่
ก็คือประมาณนี้
เลื่อนใช่ครับ
วันนี้แน่นอนสนามแรกคุริฟายมาดีด้วยชัยชนะแล้วก็มีความคาดหวังเหมือนปีที่แล้วเหมือนเดิมเรายังไงบ้างครับกับซีซั่นนี้
ก็ตั้งใจทำให้เต็มที่แล้วครับแต่ว่าก็ตามสภาพอากาศ
ครับผม
ใช่
พี่ครับฝากถึงแฟนๆหน่อยครับ
ก็ฝากเชียร์ด้วยครับทีมชาบูเท่ากับบิ๊กครับตั้มคัดครับ
ครับ
บายอุดออกระยองครับ
ขอบพระคุณครับบิ๊กนะครับสุภาพมงคลเดชเพชรนั่นเองนะฮะคุณผู้ชมมาแล้วพี่อนุภาพก็คงจะแบบสงสัยไหนบอกจะมาหาผมก่อนแต่พอดีว่าพี่บิ๊กเขามาจอดนะครับก็เลยได้คุยกับพี่บิ๊กก่อนแน่นอนครับอยู่กับพี่อนุภาพสีคลังแล้วนะครับสวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับเป็นยังไงบ้างครับสำหรับสนามนี้กับเวลาคุริฟายที่มาเป็นอันดับ2เลย
สนามนี้ก็เตรียมความพร้อมมามากๆครับผมพร้อมสุดๆครับ
โอ้โหเอาปิกอัพทำไมถึงชอบรุ่นนี้
ก็มันน่าขับดีครับ
น่าขับ
ครับผมขับสนุกดีครับผม
ครับแล้วสนามนี้เนี่ยเป็นสนามเปียกด้วยวางแผนยังไงบ้างครับ
ก็พยายามทำให้เต็มที่ครับไปให้ดีที่สุดครับผม
ฝากถึงแฟนๆหน่อยครับ
ฝากเชียร์ด้วยครับขอบคุณครับอนุภาพสีครังทีมรถดูทั้งขวัญครับ
ขอบพระคุณครับพี่อนุภาพสีครังนะฮะคุณผู้ชมไปต่อกันที่กริดที่3กันนะครับอิทธิศักดิ์แก้วดีนะครับโอ้โหมาเลยนะหมายเลข30คันนี้กับนี่เลยฮะอิซูซุครับสวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับ
ครับพี่สวัสดีครับ
เดี๋ยวก่อนนะสายพันธุ์เดี๋ยวหมุนตัวโอเคเป็นยังไงบ้างครับสำหรับสนามนี้ครับ
ตื่นเต้นมากครับผม
ทำไมตื่นเต้น
ก็เป็นครั้งแรกครับที่ได้มาอยู่ในกิจสตาร์ทลำดับนี้
โอ้โหแล้วก่อนหน้านี้อยู่ที่ไหนมาบ้างครับ
ก็ปีที่แล้วก็จะอยู่ท้ายๆครับไม่ค่อยประสบความสำเร็จครับปีนี้ก็พยายามทั้งทีมช่างทั้งตัวเองแล้วก็ทุกอย่างครับจะทำให้ดีที่สุด
แล้วอะไรที่ทำให้เราพัฒนาในเรื่องของความเร็วในเรื่องของเวลาคุริฟายมาถึงอันดับ3ได้
ก็เป็นเรื่องของประสบการณ์แล้วก็เพื่อนๆครับทีมงานหลายๆอู่ครับก็ให้คำปรึกษาว่าเราควรจะทำอะไรไม่ควรจะทำอะไร
ครับเพราะฉะนั้นหมายความว่าใน3อันดับผมต้องบอกอย่างนี้ก่อนคือคะแนนมันเท่ากันมากแต่ว่าในเรื่องของเสี้ยววินาทีเนี่ยมันก็คือไม่แตกต่างกันเท่าไหร่นะเพราะว่าอย่างบิ๊กเนี่ยก็จะเป็น1 นาที 58.123ใช่ไหมแล้วก็ไล่มา236แล้วมาเป็นพี่เพราะฉะนั้นมันเป็นการบอกสัญญาณในเรื่องของการพัฒนาเกี่ยวกับเรื่องตัวรถแล้วก็ความเร็วด้วยถูกไหมฮะ
ใช่ครับ
ครับโอเคครับพี่ครับฝากถึงแฟนๆหน่อยครับ
ก็ฝากเชียร์ด้วยครับเด็กสัตหีบชลบุรีบ้านฉางนะครับSK สมศักดิ์การช่างครับครัวพุทธกรบ้านฉาง ONC และซึ่งครับผม
ครับผมขอบพระคุณครับเป็นกำลังใจให้นะครับผู้ชมแน่นอนนะครับผู้ชมในเรื่องของ Thailand Super Pickup Division 2 Class C เนี่ยนะครับมีนักแข่งที่เข้ามาเนี่ยไม่ว่าจะเป็นผู้ที่คร่ำวอร์ดในวงการผู้ที่เป็นแชมป์แล้วก็เก่งๆทั้งนั้นเลยติดตามกันให้ดีว่ารุ่นนี้ใครจะเป็นแชมป์ในสนามนี้กับ Thailand Super Pickup Division 2 Class C ครับ
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to coverage of day number 1 for 2025. Feels a little bit like school's back in session, doesn't it, Reese? Although that's 15 years in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, tell me about it. But it's good to be back. It's very good to be back. And here we are for the first race of the season for Thai Super Pickup Division 2. We will have the C-Class drivers racing here today. And what a field we've got for this one. It is not the biggest field that we've ever seen. 15 trucks lining up on the grid here at Chang International Circuit. But honestly, the racing in this particular sub-series has been spectacular every single time we've tuned in for it, and I'm so hyped.
Yeah, and I'm just actually going digging because I believe there was some pretty significant updates to the regs for this year as well. So, give you a rundown in terms of the calendar for this afternoon. That was an empty spot on the grid, by the way, and that was probably about 13th spot. Is that the 86 machine being wheeled back? Although it's driven back under its own power. Oh, it's 20. There's a 2 at the start of that number.
26. That's Tassanai Jaimun, who's evidently going for a pit lane start here today.
Regardless, that's Daniel Green. That's one of the new entries towards the front end of the field. American entry, as we're 1 minute away from rolling off. But dates for the year, 22nd and 25th of May is this weekend. First races, and reminder that the Super Touring categories will be held over 4 race weekends. Everybody else will be held over 5 racing weekends. So 22nd and 25th of May. Bang Seng Grand Prix, 2nd to the 6th of July, and is probably one of the most important events on the calendar for the year. 8th to the 10th of August is going to be a supercar weekend, excluding GTC, and that'll be from Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia. 19th to the 21st of September, all of the categories will be journeying across to Malaysia before we will wrap it back up right here from the 31st of October to the 2nd November. So we will be having a shorter season. By the way, the Super Touring cars will be the only ones journeying to Sepang out of the B-Quik Thailand Super Series, and Super Pickup and Thailand Super Eco will not be attending the Sepang rounds. So those are the dates for the year. So 3 rounds effectively for Super Pickup and Super Eco. So this weekend, 2nd to 6th of July from Bang Seng Grand Prix, and then back here at the back end of the year for the end of October for these categories.
Formation lap beginning for Thailand Super Pickup Division 2 Class C. This is our opportunity to go through the grid here, and man, what a field we've got here today. Once again, a little update on where we're racing here today. Chang International Circuit, a supremely soaked Chang International Circuit after the Super Eco race. And I tell you what, Sector 2 is going to be a big one in these trucks, because they don't have the best grip at high speeds going into that very fast turn 4. We're probably going to be seeing more than a few of them jump off the circuit there on the first lap. A challenging track, this one, with a little bit of elevation change, just enough to keep things interesting. Really love this circuit, and the racing that it's produced thus far has been awesome. The Super Pickup series using the same Hankook tyre as Thailand Super Eco, the 17-inch and 18-inch variants of the Ventus RS4. Big thanks to Hankook, the official tyre supplier of many of our categories here in the B-Quik Thailand Super Series.
Yep. So for race 1 for 2025, what does our starting grid look like? Well, it was pole position for Super Mongkol out of qualifying. Arnafap will start alongside of him in the 77 machine. Itasak in the 30, and the 17 of Jacopan will make up your front 2 rows of the grid. Rows number 3 and 4 is going to be the new entrant of Daniel in the 8 machine, and Wataya alongside Thanawas and Wudachai in the 12 and 69 machines, respectively, 7th and 8th. Outside of here, we'll get back to Crid in the 82 machine. Kiatasak is going to be 10th spot in the 56, Rostar in 11th spot, and Kitsasak in 12th in the 52 machine. Final couple rows of the grid, Tenefak in the 86 machine and Somnook alongside. Tassanai will be coming from the rear of the field.
Yes, and looks like maybe a pit lane start there for the number 26, as we saw on the lead up to this formation lap. Though, looking a bit further back, I see a white truck that looked pretty similar. No, there's actually going to be 2 pit lane starters here today. The 84 of Rustamali involved in the pit lane start here as well. So we'll have 13 of our 15 trucks taken to the start here today. Standing start, of course, as they line up here on the grid. Super Moncol on pole position. He's been generally one of the drivers to watch here in Thai Super Pickup. And of course, fairly open aerodynamic regulations here for this category. We'll see if those wings actually do anything. Certainly the wipers are doing quite a lot as they line up ready to take the start.
Yep, so lining up at the moment, we'll see the lights start to come on. Racing for 2025. First of the Super Pickup categories to take to the circuit will get underway here in just a few moments' time. The lights will start to come on. And we set for a rundown of turn number 1. I wonder, well, that wasn't Daniel. It was... Indeed, the lights are already off. We are actually green flag racing already in the rundown of turn number 1. Who has managed to not light the Hancooks up as they get down to turn 1? Is that the 77 machine diving to the inside? I think it might have been. No, it was... I think it was Unafap, but it was actually off that front row that didn't get a great getaway. And there's a few drivers, a lot of them running very wide at turn 1. And look at the spray as they start to head down the back straight to turn 2 and 3.
Yep, see how fast this water gets cleared here. The 17 of Jakapan Wanarat leading the way. Coming into turn 3, an absolute lightning start from the Isuzu D-Max at the front here. And a little bit deep behind for Super Moncol, who's trying to get that lead back in short order. We had, unfortunately, Daniel Green, the American, in the field, falling down the order. Started in 5th and is now 11th. So he hasn't had the best of starts there. But the battle is on for the lead here. Super Moncol trying to get it back here from Jakapan.
Yeah, and Jakapan's managed to get that good jump and make all that gains. Now he's going to have to try and hang on to it and have a look at them very, very tentatively making their way through the middle of the circuit. That rain is going to be clearing up relatively quickly. Gee whiz, have a look in the background. I wonder if that was Tenefak. Indeed it was, in the 86 machine, who had a big moment, and there's the drivers that started from pit lane.
Yep, Tassanai and Somnook and Rustamali, sorry. Oh dear, that's a spin there for, looked like the 69, I believe, Wutachai in the 3rd sector. The track looks reasonably clear for the moment. As lap 1 gets ready to complete, we're going to grab a replay here and see what happened. Big lose there coming into what looks like turn 5.
Yeah, that looks about the right spot on the circuit. Gets back underway relatively easy, but for the meantime, Jakapan has managed to grab the lead. Holds it over Super Moncol at the moment. Have a look at the difference in line. That you can see that how wide they're running at that final corner to stay away from the puddle on the inside.
Lovely view of the start-finish straight here. You can see that the track is still incredibly wet, but it doesn't seem like much of an issue for these trucks. As having a couple of goes at the steering there is Jakapan. It's all about the exit here. With a very wide exit there from, it looks like, maybe 4th place at Isak. Have to wait and see on that one. But look at the run that Super Moncol has here. Defensive from Jakapan coming into turn 3. They're side by side on the way in, and there's a problem for the 52. That is Kitasak. Looks like maybe a problem with the engine. You see the amount of black smoke he was belching.
I wonder whether or not he's caught up on something as well, just off the track. Either way, has managed to pull it to the right-hand side as they get out of turn 1. And now the drag race as they get off of turn 3 as well. To the outside, this is going to be bravery required from Super Moncol, and Jakapan elects to just drop in. Was that tyres? We could hear squealing. It was, and around he goes. No, he rescues it. No, he doesn't. Flicks it back the other way. Keeps it rolling.
Oh, what a recovery there from Super Moncol, but unfortunately, that has demoted him down to 4th place. He tried, you know. I figured if we were going to see a move at turn 4, it'd be around the outside. We get the replay of it here, but he was just in too hot. The rear end went light. There's practically no weight at all on the back end of these trucks. It's an empty tray there. Well done to him for recovering it so that he could actually just get rolling again without having to steer too much, but unfortunately, that's going to put him back down to what is now 5th, it looks like, with Taya getting past him there as well. Big recovery needed for our pole sitter.
You know what's a cool thing, Reese? Have a look at the timing sheets, and I tell you what, the Super Ecos are actually quicker in the current conditions. Another spin on that lap as well for the 52 machine. That is going to be Kip the Sack. He will go dropping down the order. And this is the run into the final corner as well. That puddle's now cleared up on the inside, but still be a lot wetter down there than it will be on the outside of the corner. Run out of the final corner and the run down to turn number 1. Here comes Ita Sack. So Artifap is starting to fall back a little bit in these wetter conditions. And he's late on the brakes and a little bit unsteady on the run to turn 1. Kept it there, but a little bit of a touch is going to spin him around. And that is a high-speed part of the circuit. He's going to have to stop and wait for them all to come past.
Looks like just enough of a gap for him to get it rolling again, but that was a dangerous spot to come around.
Yeah, I would have been worried sitting there as well. I would have wanted to clear being in that spot for a very long period of time. Yeah, just the lightest of touches. I'll tell you what, Itasak was very lucky not to get a tap back and him rotated in the opposite direction.
Yeah, also very lucky to not have anyone come through and basically head-on collide, as that's another truck around the 86. It looks like Tanafak has gone around. Seems like as they're trying to get this rhythm going in the race, they're trying to push the pace a little further, but the limit is proving very hard to balance on.
It certainly is, and weight balance will be that big. There was the curbing out the other side.
Slippery.
Just went to pick up the throttle, and unfortunately not enough grip at the rear. Good tumbling through the order. Race still led by Jacopan at the moment. Margins 3.7 seconds, but yeah, worthwhile pointing out, 222s, which was right on board with where the Ecos finished up, but the rain was a fair bit heavier at that point in time. These things will be faster in a straight line, but the braking distances are much, much bigger as well.
They are. You need a deft hand and a whole lot of patience to handle these things around a track. And it looks like Tassanai, starting from the pits, has actually made up some good spots here thanks to the spins up ahead. That's him there in the white truck who's just got past Krid Prayadsub. Move back further up to Jakapan, who is now under attack from Itasak. Now, after that spin that we saw from Arnafap in the contact with Itasak, I thought maybe the pace of the truck could be hurt a little bit. There's a truck that's hurt. It's the 86 once again of Tanafak. That's a real shame. He found his way up very nicely. But it's on for the lead now, Scott. Jakapan under attack from Itasak here. And Itasak made that contact before. Oh,
that's
no.
Damage.
Oh, that is a lot of damage. The 69 of Wutachai that's gone around there, and potentially contact with another truck, maybe with the wall, remains to be seen. But down the straight comes the battle for the lead. The pace from Itasak is crazy. He was 3 seconds faster than Jakapan on the last lap.
Yeah, I saw the same thing as well. That's the fastest lap of the race as well. So it looks like the track is indeed improving. He'll go to the inside, but that's where all the rubber is laid down. It won't be the grippier part. You can just see the momentum carried around the outside and the speed off the corner. So Jakapan will defend it, but he went the very longest of ways around. And they'll keep an eye on that 69 machine as they try and clear that truck away, or at least get the driver extricated from that one. It might be far enough off that they might just leave it. I wonder what they've learned as they get down to turn 4 about carrying too much speed. I wonder what Super Moncol's thinking, because he's just gone ahead and set a fastest first sector of the race, and now to the inside once more. Here comes Itasak. And again, defending from the outside line and managing to hang on to it. Jacopan's doing a great job.
How good was the launch there? The outside line, of course, in wet conditions is usually the grippier one because rubber gets into the asphalt and it becomes greasy under wet conditions. You still have that sort of rough, chippy surface around the outside that you can get. Another spin for the 86 of Tanafak. He's really struggling.
Really struggling. Safety car has also been deployed, and that will be to clean up the 69 machine. So safety cars come out of the last corner, and our race leaders will get down there and be picked up here in a few moments. It's going to be the similar spin down at turn 1. Looks like it is.
The water coming off the truck. Yeah.
Is that his left rear tire going beyond the crest of the curb there?
It looks like it. You know, in dry conditions, that's not a problem, but when the track is wet, the water just sits on top of those painted surfaces, and there is pretty much negative grip when you run across the white line and across the curbs. So, you know, you can try your best to maximize your lines and whatnot, but if the truck is still loaded up when it crosses over those slippery surfaces, it's a very hard snap that you have to deal with.
Yeah, safety car's going to pick up our race leaders. 8 laps left in this one when they cross the start-finish line. Might be enough time. I would say we might get back underway with 6 laps to go, although the speed of the race as it is, might be able to do 7. But Jacopan and Itasak were gone at the front of the race. And something else has happened to Super Moncol because he's lost a few more spots on that lap. He dropped back to 5th spot.
Yeah, Super Moncol looks like has been sitting in that 5th place for a while since his initial spin. May have made up some time, but evidently he's a bit further back now. So keep your eye out for both himself and Arnafap, who were our front row of this race, now demoted back to 5th and 8th. Daniel Green, meanwhile, the number 8, the only non-Thai national in the field. He started 5th, dropped back outside the top 10 on lap 1, but thanks to all of the chaos, he's elevated himself back up to 7th, so nice little turnaround there for the American.
Yeah, and it looked for Daniel as well like it was a bad launch as he was spinning tyres. Thai fans getting involved down at the circuit. A grand old time down at the races and with the rain bucketing down. Conditions will be far more comfortable at the moment, you would expect.
It's always nice to have a roof over your head, so to speak, in conditions like this. For the time being, though, it's a waiting game. Wait to hear the decision from race control as to when the race will be restarted. I think we're going to see at least one more lap here behind the safety car. We'll get some news very shortly on whether or not the 69 machine has been cleared off the circuit. We've also unfortunately lost the 79 of Somnuk, it looks like, falling off those timing sheets. No stats from the last lap for him.
Yeah, now we just wait for safety car to continue. Don't believe we'll be on green flag this lap. The safety car would have already pulled away from the front of the field. It'll probably be next time by, which will leave us with 6 to go. And we go back green. I wonder if that 69 machine's just been cleared away now. Also missing the 79 machine of Somnok, who didn't take the start of the race. Other than that, everyone's in the lead lap here still. Good opportunity for Tanafak to make his time back up to the rear of the field after his few spins in the 86 machine as well. So not out of this one.
So, race control, it seems, has had a bit less work to do in this particular race. Super Eco, of course, had quite a few incidents that race control had to adjudicate and a few penalties handed out. We haven't seen any such stuff from Super Pickup thus far, apart from the decision to bring the safety car out. This gives us an opportunity to circulate a little bit more, clear a bit more of that water off the circuit, and maybe we'll have some cleaner runs going forward. Just received word from race control that the safety car is coming in this lap. So, Scott, we're getting this race off to another start with, it looks like we're going to come around to 6 laps to go when we cross the line to start again.
Yep, for sure. We'll be back up and racing here in just a few moments. So, once again, hello to everyone right around the world that's tuning in for the English language coverage of the B-Quik Thailand Super Series. One more category to come our way this afternoon before we will be back tomorrow for a full roster of racing action across the weekend as well. Don't forget, Southern Asian Formula 4 racing also joins us for the racing action this weekend as well. So we'll be getting to see some open wheelers out there amongst it and turning laps.
Looking forward to that. I unfortunately won't be here for tomorrow's racing, but I will be joining you guys again for Sunday's action, so I'll get at least one of those open wheel races under my belt. And we'll see if the track stays dry for that running on Sunday. See what these F4 cars will really be able to do around this circuit. But lights are off on the safety car, getting ready to pull away from the field here as we enter the final few corners of the lap. Jakapan Wanarat going to lead the way here on this restart, but Itisak was chasing him down before the safety car came out. He's going to be right on the attack again.
Yep. And I'm just taking a quick look ahead in terms of weather as well. Thunderstorms expected tomorrow, but it looks like that's mainly going to be coming through overnight. Somewhere through the middle of the day, we're expected to see another couple showers. Basically from midday, 1 p.m. onwards. Tomorrow afternoon and Sunday, it's basically all day. There's a low to medium chance of rain from 7 a.m. right through till 7 p.m. Again, picking up to its highest level somewhere between 1 and 4 p.m. on Sunday as we go back to green flag racing. Out the final corner, safety car is off. 6 more laps left of racing action. And look at the spray launching out from the rear wheels of your Thailand Super Pickups. In a long time since any of these drivers have had to deal with wet conditions, and again, touching the curbs and the throttle at the same time is risky business for Itisak.
Certainly is. He's lost all that momentum coming down the straight, and the battle is on for third as well between Kiatasak and Wataya. Joining the party is Super Mongol, who's on his recovery after spinning out of the lead of the race when he'd just taken it up the inside. It's going to be difficult here. Super Mongol started on pole for a reason. Fastest driver over a single lap thus far this weekend. It's going to be a challenge for him to get back onto the podium, but it looks like he's managed to get the move done. And the number 30 of Itisak will find his way into the 4th and 5th turns of this track. In fact, it looks like in the lead, Jakapan ending up losing out there.
Yeah, so it must have been some issue down at turn 3. I think he ran very, very deep at turn 3. Either way, Itisak has managed to drive his way through and pick up that spot. For now, he'll lead the race with the opportunity in front of him. Kiatasak's coming at Jakapan quite aggressively. Super Mongol's all of a sudden going to be right back in this one if he can pull the car up, which he did not. Down at turn 8.
Looked like the steering just wasn't responding there for Super Mongol. Getting word of an incident further back here. Oh dear. That is the 82 that's gone around there. Krid Prayadsub. Turn 4 and 5 there. one of the real choke points of the lap. If you don't get it absolutely perfect, you're going to go off in a big way. And we've seen that happen more than once, including for our pole sitter Super Mongol. Look at the fight here that's emerged for Thanawas here. A Super Mongol going very wide. I thought for a moment he was going to be going for the pits there, but looks like he's managed to keep it up there. Big exit for Tassanai in the 26. Daniel Green has fallen all the way down to 12th place as well. Looks like his start didn't get off to a very good run there, as 77 of Arnafab is still struggling with the rear in these conditions.
Yep, that is. And that is the unmarked car of Daniel Green. It looks like he's having issues with his timing and scoring at the moment. With 6 on the track. And another issue for the 86 machine, that would be at the start of just after we went back to green flag racing.
God.
And speaking of Daniel, around he goes. I wonder whether or not the rains come back again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot more droplets on the cameras. So I get the feeling it's come back in a big way, and suddenly the conditions have become much more treacherous. Let's see what happened to Daniel Green here. Oh, he was backwards on the way into the corner. What happened?
It absolutely happened as soon as he's touched the brakes. But
That's not ideal.
We're seeing multiple cars skating off. That you just wonder. There's damage to the front corner of Wataya's car as well. So something going on there. The front left-hand corner. Maybe that's where Daniel Green ended up backwards from.
Maybe. I mean, there's it could have been contact. We'll have to maybe get some further context there. The 42 is running 4th at the moment, so that puts him in roughly the same area as Daniel Green at the time of the incident. Oh dear. Thanawas going for a big old slide there. You're just tiptoeing around the circuit at this point, aren't you?
Yeah, just trying to keep the car on the island for now. I'm hoping that conditions continue to improve.
Out of the final corner comes Itasak. This number 30 has emerged as the star machine in these wet conditions, leaving Jacopan in the dust. And last time was... big slide in the background.
Arnafab, maybe? And had that huge moment of the last corner. Might have been Daniel, actually. Once again, having some issues keeping that car underneath him, so there might be extra problems for number 8 machine as he struggles as this race continues to develop. 4 more laps left to run around the Chang International Circuit. And flags as well for Black Smoke out of the 26 and the 82. Which is Tassanai at a 6th spot, and the 82 of Crid currently down in 12th spot.
Yeah, well, 4 laps remaining, coming up to 3 when Itasak crosses the line next. Speed building, and also the gaps between the trucks. We had some super close racing early on, but now that there's evidently been another shower and the track's gotten a bit worse, seems like everyone's just focused on their own self-preservation at the moment.
Yeah, so for now, margin for the lead is Itasak by 4 seconds over Jacopan. And Kiatasak is 3rd on the road, then we throw it back to Wataya as the 42 machine we're currently looking at with that damage on the front corner.
Is Daniel Green trying to find his way past Tassanai?
That explains where Super Mongol went.
Oh no, yeah, he's gone. And oh dear, Green I think caught the... Oh, that's very far out in the weeds. Keep it out of the wall, mate. Managed to make it to the grass, but be careful over the gravel. You don't want to get bogged down.
We'll go all the way to the last couple of corners on the final lap. Itasak will now know that there is no competition behind. Jacopan challenged him, forced him to cover he did, and then picked up the throttle pedal just a little bit too much. Race winner the Thailand Super Pickup Class D2. It's going to be Itasak. That's a phenomenal defensive drive.
Yep. He toured around the circuit at his own pace, and that was the correct thing to do here. Jacoban trying to keep the second place there from Kitasak. Both of them absolutely lighting it up coming out of the final corner. We see that Witia Rayai and Anafap Sriklang will complete our top 5. And it looks like Daniel Green will finish in P6. Fairly good result there for the number 8 after taking pretty much every other position in the field behind him at some point during this race. But the star of the show, Itasak here in the number 30. I mean, he still looks cool, calm and collected on the in-lap, doesn't he?
That car never had any attitude in it at the rear end. Have a look at the difference between the front and the rear, by the way, in terms of the camber and those front tyres, and the rears are set up as straight as they possibly can be.
Yep, all about getting the power through those rear wheels while the fronts take as much load as they possibly can as you steer through the steering axis. Well, an exciting race to be sure in Thailand Super Pickup Class C. We've got another race coming up, this time with classes A and B, Scott. It's going to be an absolute rollicking time here at Chang International Circuit. Who's going to escape the wetness this time?
Yeah.
Top 3.
Manage the body roll on these cars as well. Itasak gets it done from Jacoban, and Kiatasak are your top 3. And this was the C class of drivers. There was no additional classes out there and on the circuit. And fastest lap times in the class, 2:16.735 from Itasak will take fastest lap of the race. But that was a changing track with changing conditions right the way throughout that one. And confirmation that Itasak gets it done with the fastest lap of the race. 2:16.7, we'll have to keep an eye on that and see how the A and B class drivers fare in similar tricky conditions. But the replay should be coming our way in just a few moments of that one finishing. But in the meantime, yeah, phenomenal drive. Itasak just looked a lot more confident, and Super Mongkol actually only finished 8 laps across the duration. So he actually didn't even end up making the finish of that race after getting a pole position. So wet conditions obviously quite challenging. And wasn't quite able to make the car last, unfortunately.
Yeah, missing out on some big points here in the first race of the season. But our top 3 will find their way through to victory lane, as it were. And 3 very happy chaps here, Itasak, Jacoban and Kiatasak. They were the ones to hold on in the end, with quite a few drivers who we expected to be, pretty substantial at the front there. Are they cooling him down or warming him up there? What's going on there?
Getting some fresh air in either way. Be the big key.
Moisture tends to hang around in the air in Thailand, so get some air blowing on you, and it'll cool you down regardless. Obviously, driving a racing pickup truck around Chang International Circuit will really take it out of you, but very good drive from Itasak, and the battle between those two was amazing to see, and it's good to know that they have a good relationship outside of the trucks as well.
It was a phenomenal battle between the two of those guys. Driver over on the far side is Kiatasak. Manages to bring that one home in 3rd, and good to be down there to chat the drivers in tight for this one. So we might just step away, take a little bit of a break. Ladies and gents, we will be back with the final race of the evening. It is going to be your Thailand Super Pickups. It's going to be the A and B class drivers in the D1 category in just a short time.
ไต่มาถึงอันดับ 3 เป็นยังไงบ้างครับ
รู้สึกว่าความรู้สึกมัน Amazing มากครับเพราะว่ารถก็ไม่ค่อยจะสมบูรณ์เท่าไหร่แต่ว่าด้วยภาวะภูมิศาสตร์ ดนใจช่วยให้ขึ้นมา
ถือว่าฝนช่วยแล้วกันใช่ไหมแต่วันนี้แต่ก็เห็นหมุนกันหลายรอบนะ ซึ่งจริงๆเนี่ยผมก็แปลกใจนิดนึงถามแทนคุณคนดูหน่อย ว่าปกติเวลาเราเล่นคันเร่งเนี่ยในช่วงของการออกตัวทางโค้งเนี่ยถ้าเราคุมคันเร่งไม่ดีเนี่ยในความหมายของนักแข่งคืออะไรฮะ
การออกตัวคุมคันเร่งออกโค้งก็ต้องใช้เท้าให้มันสมูทกับกำลังของเครื่องยนต์เหมือนกับเราเอาวิชาร้อยกันที่มาใช้อย่างนั้นเลยครับผม
มันก็เลยเป็นการออกตัวถ้าเกิดออกตัวผิดพลาดเขาเรียกว่าโอเวอร์สเตียล้อหลังหมุนเกินแรงถูกไหมฮะเพราะฉะนั้นวันนี้มาอยู่อันดับที่ 3 แล้วพูดถึงแฟนๆหน่อยครับ
ฝากถึงเป็นแฟนทางบ้านนะครับถ้าอยากมาสนุกรายการ Thailand Super Series นะครับมาสมัครได้นะครับมาสนุกในสนามดีกว่าแข่งขันบนถนนนะครับ
ขอบพระคุณครับขอบพระคุณครับอันดับ3นะฮะเกียรติศักดิ์ชูจรไปตัวอันดับ2กันต่อนะครับหมายเลข17นะครับกับจักรพันธ์วรรณรัตน์สวัสดีด้วยครับเป็นยังไงบ้างครับสำหรับสนามนี้
สนุกมากครับผมมาสนามแรกเลยครับทีเด็ดปีนี้
ปีแรกสนามแรกด้วยโอ้โหแล้วมาเป็นอันดับ2ด้วยแต่ในขณะที่ควอลิฟายมาอยู่ที่4ถือว่าเซตมาดีทั้งทีมช่างแล้วก็ตัวพี่เลย
ครับผม
เตรียมความพร้อมอะไรมาบ้างฮะ
ก็แทบจะทุกจุดเลยครับทั้งเครื่องทั้งเทียร์ช่วงล่างทุกอย่างครับ
อะไรเป็นแรงบันดาลใจหรืออะไรที่ทำให้เราเนี่ยอยากมาร่วมสนุกในรายการแข่งขันระดับประเทศแบบนี้ครับ
ด้วยความมาตรฐานแล้วก็ด้วยความชอบของผมโดยส่วนตัวแล้วมันมาตรฐานมากครับผมชอบที่นี่มากครับพี่ใช่ครับ
ถ้าทางจะอยู่ไปอีกหลาย10 ปีเลย
ยังไงนะครับ
อยู่หลาย10 ปีเลย
โอ้น่าจะอยู่ยาวครับ สนุกมากพี่
พี่ครับฝากถึงแฟนๆหน่อยครับ
ฝากเชียร์ทีมเทนลิเบอร์ทันและทีมด้วยนะครับอันนี้ครับเบอร์17นะครับครับผมแล้วก็ฝากเชียร์ทุกวันเลยครับมันมี 3 วันนะครับผม
ขอบพระคุณครับนะฮะจักรพันธ์วรรณรัตน์นะครับอันดับ 2 และอันดับ 1นะครับแน่นอนนะฮะอยู่ในกลุ่มสตาร์ที่ 3 แต่วันนี้อยู่อันดับที่ 1 แล้วกับอิทธิศักดิ์แก้วดีสวัสดีด้วยครับ โอ้โหเป็นยังไงบ้างครับพี่สนามนี้
ตื่นเต้นมากครับพยายามจะขี่ให้เซฟที่สุด
โอ้โหและนี่เพื่อนร่วมแข่งเนี่ยอย่างบิ๊กก็หมุนด้วยอะไรด้วยนะฮะแล้วก็หมุนหลายรอบหลายคันเลย ก็เกิดเหตุการณ์แต่เราก็คุมมาได้เนาะเล่าให้ฟังหน่อยช่วงการแข่งขันมันเป็นยังไงบ้าง
ตื่นเต้นมากครับก็พยายามจะคอนโทรลรถให้มันอยู่ในเลนก่อนเรื่องเร็วเนี่ยเดี๋ยวค่อยเร็วทีหลังขับให้ตรงเลนให้ได้ก่อน แล้วเดี๋ยวค่อยเร็วครับก็ตื่นเต้นมากกลัวถ้าเกิดว่ามันหลุดโค้งไปอะไรไปก็คือจบที่ทำมาก็จบ
มีบ้างไหมช่วงที่เราแบบเป๋ๆโค้งไหน
นี่ครับก็โค้ง3เลยครับโค้ง3ก็จะแบบเกือบจะลงก่อนแล้วแต่ก็พยายามประคองมันขึ้นมา
โอ้โหนี่ถ้าเกิดลงกรวดนี่คือสิ้นสุดการแข่งขันเลยนะจบเลย
เลย
นะ
ครับจบครับจบ
เพราะฉะนั้นวันนี้มาถึงที่ 1 แล้ว ต้องรักษาแชมป์ให้ดีนะ เดี๋ยวกดการรีเวิร์สกิจในวันพรุ่งนี้เนี่ยพี่จะต้องย้ายไปอยู่ในอันดับที่ 5 นะครับ
รู้ว่าจะต้องอยู่ที่ 5 แล้วก็ตื่นเต้นมากไม่เคยอยู่ในตำแหน่งนี้มาก่อน
พี่ครับฝากถึงแฟนๆด้วยครับ
ฝากถึงก็ขอบคุณสปอนเซอร์ก่อนนะครับก็ SSK สมศักดิ์การช่างครับ OMC Racing ครัวบุษกรบ้านฉางครับแล้วก็วุฒิอ่องระยองครับแล้วก็ขอบคุณทีมงานที่มาเหนื่อยด้วยกันแล้ววันนี้เราทำได้แล้วครับขอบคุณพ่อแม่ด้วยแล้วก็ครอบครัวแฟนครับ
โอ้โหต้องขอบคุณพี่ด้วยนะครับที่เป็นอินสปิเรชันให้กับพวกเรานะครับแน่นอนนะครับที่ 1อิทธิศักดิ์แก้วดีในรุ่นนี้แล้วรุ่นหน้าล่ะใครจะเป็นแชมป์ในรุ่น Thailand Super Pickup Division 1อันนี้คลาส A และคลาส B จะรวมกันติดตามกันให้ดีสำหรับรุ่นหน้านะครับเดี๋ยวไปชมกับไฮไลท์กันต่อครับ
รุ่นกระบะ
ครับ
พี่พิดามองว่าเกมในปีนี้มันจะเข้มข้นมากกว่าเดิมไหมเมื่อบีบปากหรือรีสฟิกเตอร์ลง
ก็หวังว่าผู้ผลิตทุกรายนะครับจะได้ทำรถออกมาแล้วก็แข่งขันกันอย่างสูสีขึ้นอิซูซุค่อนข้างที่จะลอยนวลอยู่ข้างบนนะครับทำให้ทีมอื่นที่ใช้รถแบรนด์ต่างๆ นั้นเนี่ยสู้ไม่ได้เราก็ต้องปรับเปลี่ยนกฎกติกาทำให้มันเอื้อต่อทุกผู้ผลิต
แล้วอย่างนี้คนที่ใช้อีซูซูเดิมบ่นไหมครับบอกว่าโอ้โห
บนนั่นจะอาจจะเป็นสาเหตุหนึ่งที่มีหายไปบ้าง
ปีนี้การลุ้นแชมป์พี่พิดามองว่ามันจะมีรูปเกมออกมาแบบไหนฟอร์ดผมมองว่าคือปีที่แล้วหรือว่าช่วง 2-3 ปีที่ผ่านมาฟอร์ดน้ำหนักลดเยอะ
ผมคิดว่าต้องรอดูนะฮะเพราะตอนนี้ได้ยินมาว่าทางฟอร์ดเองกำลังทำหัวเดี่ยว ออกมาวิ่ง ซึ่งลดพิกัดลงมาได้เยอะมากเลย
ในกลุ่มหัวของรุ่นกระบะเบสจะมีโอกาสลุ้นแชมป์4 สมัยติดต่อกันไหมครับ
เบสมีโอกาสแน่นอน นัทนุษก็มีสิทธิ์ เอกสิทธิ์งามแสงผารวมถึงเกรงโกมล เอกสิทธิ์เกรงโกมลชื่อเอกสิทธิ์ด้วยกัน
2
เอกสิทธิ์ก็มีสิทธิ์ ส่วนทรงศักดิ์กรสิริสิบสกุลทรงของเราด้วยโตโยต้าตัวแชมป์
น้องแชมป์
น่ารักสวยงามมาก อันนี้ก็น่าจะอยู่ในคอนเทนชันที่น่าสนใจนะครับแต่อย่างไรก็ดีผมคิดว่าเทอร์โบยัมก็คือเทอร์โบยัมนะเหนื่อยทีมอื่นแข่งกับทีมนี้เมื่อไหร่เหนื่อยทั้งนั้น แล้วฝีมือของนักแข่งในทีมนี้ไม่ธรรมดาสอทอเต้อย่างเงี้ยหนุ่มการยางนะครับก็ไม่ธรรมดา
พี่พิดามองว่ารูปเกมจะออกมาแบบไหนนะครับ แล้วก็อยากให้ท่านผู้ชม
ครับ
จับตาดูอะไรเป็นพิเศษ
แต่ละทีมที่ทำการบ้านหลังจากประชุมนักแข่งนะครับเมื่อเดือนมีนา ก็คิดว่าเหลือเวลาเยอะ หารู้ไหมเวลามันผ่านไปไวอย่างกับโกหก ผมคิดว่าหลาย ๆ ทีมยังไม่แสดงศักยภาพที่แท้จริงของรถออกมาในสนามนี้ ดังนั้นผมยังเชื่อมั่นในเทอร์โบยัมอยู่นะผมไปคุยกับแจ็คแลมวาร์ดกับแซนดี้สตูวิกนะฮะรวมถึงทรงกรศักดิ์ก็ยังไม่มั่นใจในตัวรถสักเท่าไหร่นะครับอันนี้เป็นโจทย์ที่ยากที่จะแก้นะครับแต่ว่าต้องให้เวลาแต่อย่างว่านะเดี๋ยวก็บางแสนแล้วนะแต่ที่สำคัญคือศุกร์เสาร์อาทิตย์เนี้ย3 เรสนะครับทั้งหมด 8 เรสเนี่ยเดี๋ยวเราเจอที่บางแสนอีก 2 แล้วสนามสุดท้ายปลายเดือนตุลาอีก 3 เวลาแก้ตัวน้อยมาก
ก็เดี๋ยวมาดูกันครับคุณผู้ชมว่าความฟันธงของพี่พิดาจะแม่นแค่ไหน
ครับ
กับ Thailand Super Pickup ครับผม
ครับ
ก็พยายามจะรักษาระดับตัวเองให้ได้ดีที่สุดครับ
พูดถึงในเรื่องของการเตรียมความพร้อมเนี่ยมันเป็นเรื่องสำคัญเนาะเพราะว่าในเรื่องของการแข่งขันเนี่ยสนาม
ฝนตกเฉยๆเลยครับแล้วก็พร้อมครับ
เราเซตยังไงมามันแตกต่างกันไหมพี่ผมถามในเชิงของความรู้นิดนึงว่าถ้าเป็นมุมของคนดูอ่ะเขาจะงงไหมว่าถ้าเซตในสนามเปียกสนามแห้งต้องเซตยังไง
ก็คงต้องปล่อยให้รถนิ่มลงมาหน่อยครับครับแล้วก็ขับให้สมูทที่สุดครับประมาณนี้ครับ
อะไรเรื่องของควันล่ะ
โอ้เหยียบได้ไม่สุดอยู่แล้วครับมันลื่นครับใช่ครับก็คือต้องเราวิ่งจริงเราต้องน่าจะกอเอาครับ
แล้วในเรื่องของการพัฒนารถกับการแข่งขันในสนามเนี่ยอันนี้เป็นสิ่งสำคัญได้ทีมพี่เบสเองเนี่ยก็ให้ความสำคัญในเรื่องของการพัฒนารถเนี่ยจนทำให้มีความเร็วที่ค่อนข้างสูงเนี่ยเราขยับในเรื่องของการยกระดับตรงนี้ยังไงบ้างครับ
ก็ตั้งแต่มีกติกาใหม่ขึ้นมาผมทีมงานก็ไล่หาหลายเดือนนะครับก่อนที่จะเปิดสนามแรกครับไล่เราจนว่าโอเคเราพร้อมเราโอเคเราถือว่าดีแล้วเราพอมาเจอพอมาวิ่งจริงปุ๊บโอเคผลลัพธ์ที่มันออกมาคือผมก็แบบเพอร์เฟกต์มาก
ก็คือเหมือนตอบโจทย์ในเรื่องของการหาคำตอบนั้นออกมาถูกไหมฮะทีนี้ในเรื่องของการแข่งขันปีนี้เนี่ยก็แน่นอนรถเข้ามาร่วมแข่งเนี่ยเยอะมากเลยทีเดียวเพื่อนใหม่ก็ดีมีนักแข่งหน้าใหม่เยอะนะแต่เวลาของการคุริฟายของเขาเนี่ยก็ดีด้วยเช่นกันพี่เบนมีความรู้สึกยังไงบ้างครับ
ก็ปีนี้ก็ถือว่าทุกคนก็พัฒนากันมามากพอสมควรเลยครับแล้วก็เพื่อนๆที่มาลงใหม่ก็เยอะด้วยก็เดี๋ยวครับก็เดี๋ยวรู้ว่าวันนี้ครับว่าจะเป็นยังไงครับ
สุดท้ายครับอยากให้พี่เบสฝากถึงคนที่เป็นแฟนคลับด้วยครับ
ครับก็ฝากติดตามพวกเราด้วยนะครับเบสเทอร์โบยันนะครับทีวงโดของเรานะครับว่าวันนี้จะเป็นยังไงครับผม
ขอบพระคุณครับขอบพระคุณครับแน่นอนนะครับกับเบสเทอร์โบยัมนะฮะธนพลจูเจริญผลเลยครับแต่แน่นอนเขามีถึง2คลาสด้วยกัน A และ B อยู่ในสนามนี้นะใครเป็นแฟนคลับใครและใครจะมาเป็นแชมป์ในสนามนี้ติดตามกันให้ดีกับ B-Quik Thailand Super Series รุ่น Thailand Super Pickup Division 1 คลาส A และ B ครับ
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Final race of your afternoon to kickstart the season. Friday afternoon racing for your Thailand Super Series, and this is the Super Pickups D1 class. We're going to be going racing for 12 laps in the damp conditions, at least wet conditions to start off with, and we'll see if it clears up a little bit. But that front straight, their race is looking significantly less shiny, and I'm feeling the grip has been coming to the racetrack.
Yeah, looks like it. You know, there's still some light rain falling, or has been falling over the last few minutes, as you can see. Most of the trucks with a little bit of condensation, droplets on board, but we will see how they handle this very unclear racetrack, and I say unclear as more of a metaphorical term, because yeah, we genuinely don't know what it's going to handle like. Obviously the Super Pickup D2 race was affected quite a bit by those wetter conditions, and you still see a fair amount of reflection in the racetrack, but well, we've had a few races thus far in these difficult conditions, and now it's time for the heavy hitters in Thailand Super Pickup. This is going to be a massive one. 26 machines lining up on the grid, ready for the start here.
Yeah, cutting our way through the front few of them. Thanaphon in that 15 machine got the pole position. He'll be starting on the front row. Nut Nurch is the 93. Will be lining up beside him. 26 starters here across the two categories, and I can let you know in A class there are 16 drivers, B class there are 10. Leader of your B class drivers, we offer 5th spot with the 59 machine of Suot, as we'll get rolling for the formation lap. Like we said, final event for this afternoon's racing action, and it's the big boys, the pickup trucks, and the best and brightest that are available in the big machines out at Thailand. And Reese, this is going to be the good one. Here we go.
Yeah, this is going to be massive. Oh, man. What a big field of trucks here. Got the GR Toyota Hilux champs in the field as well. It'll be interesting to see how well they do. And, of course, we can't forget Sandy Stuvik in the massive Ford in this field as well, as we go through the pre-race preparations here. Super Pickup Division 1, of course, racing once again at Chang International Circuit, a place that has thrown up some huge excitement here today. Started off dry for Super Eco earlier on, but the rain has come down and the wetness has not gone away. It's proving particularly difficult once you get to turn 4 all the way to the end of the circuit. Most of the incidents we've seen have been going from turns 4 into turn 5. Couple down at turn 8 and 9 as well. Turn 12, of course, the last turn before the finish line, giving you the potential for a massive run. Of course, once again, Extreme Semi-Slick from Hankook, official tyre supplier of the B-Quik Thailand Super Series. The Ventus RS4, 17 and 18-inch options for the drivers today, as the grid is now upon us. And on our front row, it's going to be Thanafon and Nutanuch, with Nanthawat and Chinawut there on the second row. Suat is going to start out of P5, Tanawat Suanarat in 6th place, with Anawat Maniain and Sandy Stuvik there rounding out our 4th row. Bandit Ladayem is going to start out of 9th place. The top 10 rounded up by Waris Onreab, with Jack Lemvard starting out of 11th place alongside Natawut Fengfrom.
Yeah, out to 13th, Surachai from Songsak in 14th. Superchai in the number 7 machine, and Simon 15th and 16th. We've seen Superchai have great runs here in the past. Be interested to see if he can cut his way through. Ekasit, the number 2 machine from 17th. Saranyu in 18th along Korn, and Akilak 19th and 20th. Reminder, we go out to 26 for this category, which is going to be a challenging start in the wet conditions. 21st and 22nd, Akasit from Chelurmpon, 81 and 13 on row number 11. Jadaron and Chayapon, 23rd and 24th, 21 and 66 machines. The final row of the grid, Chinon in the 36th machine, 25th, Firawat from the outside back row. In 26th position, will have some work to do.
Yeah, plenty of work to do in what appears to be the Mitsubishi Triton, considering the Rally Art logo on his race suit. As everyone waits with bated breath for the start here. Seeing some of the super compact and super touring cars there in the pit lane. They will have a few more of their practice sessions ready to go here later today after we go off the air for the English language stream. But everyone's lined up here. The course car behind pulls to a stop, and we wait for the marshal sitting there off to the left to come across the track and wave that green flag. Wait to see if everything is to the standard of race control. Green flag unfurled and waving. We'll wait to see the lights come up here, Scott. 12 laps on the cards here for Thailand's Super Pickup Division 1. Ready to go, and away goes the smoke. Wait for the visibility to go down as they slither off the line.
Yeah, crawling really as they try and find some sort of traction. Already drivers moving left and right. The spray and the smoke as Super Pickup make their way into turn number 1. A unique sight. And have a look at the drivers taking all of that runoff area. Just looking for traction, carrying speed left, right, and center. Well, they found some speed all the way out on the outside, but now it's the run down to turn number 3, and drivers being released from pit lane as well. Sandy Stuvik got a really good getaway. You can see the Ford Ranger coming from a mile back.
Yeah, look at that massive front end, the huge air dam, as he's now promoted himself up to 3rd, but maybe compromised a little on the inside of turn 3 there. Suat and Nutanuch will be pressuring him on the way out. It's on for the lead, though. A poor exit for the 15 of Thanathon. Nanthawat is going to try round the outside at turn 4. We've seen this go wrong before today. Let's see if they can hold on to it. The Isuzu D-Max is side by side into the left-hander, and not enough room
boy.
being given on the exit there. Contact, and Stuvik is going to make it 3 wide for the lead.
I can't believe that. Stuvik's come from a mile back, but he'll get the Ford Ranger parked up and he will take the race lead. Here we go. Lap 1 of 12. And it's been a while since Sandy Stuvik's led the race for the Super Pickups, but back to form and back to the front. The wet conditions, they are the great equalizer.
Sandy Stuvik woke up today and said, I'm going to win. As it's on for second now, looks like that might be Suat potentially going for second place overall. And the rest of the field, it's looking a little bit less chaotic as they try to feel their way around this circuit. Replay further back. There's been some issues there. One of the D-Maxes spinning around there. It looks like in turn 5 and avoiding action having to be taken by the number 9, I believe. Oh dear. Number 2 is gone. Ekaset has gone for a spin, but look at the lead that Suvik has already here at the end of lap 1.
Is he weaving over to keep those tyres cool? I mean, he would be thinking long term, but remember these tyres do tend to go off a fair bit. Lap already 2:15.858 from Sandy Stuvik, fastest up of the race. He's about 4 seconds faster than anyone else on that lap. And again, he's going to move to the right-hand side of the road and try and keep those tyres cool, because they are going to cop a beating as this race goes on and the water starts to get picked up. So he's already looking to prioritise health and longevity of those tyres.
Yeah, he's definitely trying unconventional lines, isn't he? See that the sort of V-shaped double apex that he made out of turn 3. Stuvik, of course, a seasoned professional now, and you can always count on him to try those techniques. But it makes sense that he's trying to cool those tires down, because like we've been saying, these trucks are so heavy, they put a lot through the tires. In dry conditions, we've often seen tires be an issue, especially when the track's been hot. So the less heat you can put through them, the better.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking long term. Oh, nearly a big mistake in the back, and I think that might have been either Suat or Natnach. Was Suat indeed. Manages to hang on to it, although that car was looking like it was going off the road at a rate of knots. And have a look at the margin that Sandy Stuvik is continuing to build over the field. He was nearly a second quicker in the second sector. Remember that Stuvik's come back to Thailand after years over journeying the world trying to become a professional race car driver. It didn't work for him. He's back in Thailand. And you do wonder whether or not the wet weather driving might have been one of the lessons he learned whilst he was away.
Yeah, I mean, the form that he's got right now is frankly ridiculous. Like, he's ballooned that lead out to 3.7 seconds and a 2-minute 11. That's almost getting up to the pace of the Super Ecos in the dry. Second of our Fords there, trying to get the move done. A little bit further back. I mean, look at how far ahead Stuvik is. He's not even in the shot anymore.
No, and there goes Lemvard. So he'll pick up the spot and get down the inside, get the job done on Superchai. Superchai's grabbed a few spots as well. He started a fair bit further back. So Lemvard also worked well on the wet conditions, but there's nearly contact down at turn 1, and Superchai gets in there tight behind him. Lemvard will lock the rear tyres up a little bit. And again, searching for wetter portions of the racetrack. Searching for a little bit of temperature to be taken out, and that is a very slow moving car on driver's left. That might be is that Suat? I think we just lost. No, it'd be Chatteron maybe.
Thanaphon
was the 15. Yeah.
Oh dear, it's not ideal for Thanaphon. He's actually, I think, going to pull this one completely off. There is a technical problem with that truck. Unclear exactly what, but he pulls straight off at the wall opening, so we're not going to be seeing any safety car from this, but the number 15 is out of the race, and that is absolute heartbreak there for Thanaphon. We'll take a look here at potentially something going on as they made their way past him here. No, that's actually Superchai getting back past Lemvard before the braking zone. And off going the number 15.
Yeah, I think it was just a replay just showing what happened for him. There was nothing really that we could tell. Couldn't really pick up anything in particular that had broken.
Still on there between Lemvad and Superchai. They were side by side there into turn 10.
Yeah, this is the group from 6th back to 9th and involves number 5 machine. Nutter Watt's actually just run wide as they head down to turn number 8. And he'll re-enter off the outside of 9. Loses the spot though. Looks like Nut gets his way through. On the 23 machine, Chinawat and Warris will round out this group back to 9th spot. At the moment as they squabble for positions. Changing frequently.
Very nice squabble between all of these drivers towards the end of the lap. Number 23 of Chinawat right in the midst of all of this. The yellow D-Max may stand a chance here as the drag race goes on between the 5 and the 93. Natawut and Nuthanuch down to turn 1. And that's a big lose there from the number 5. Just barely gets it straightened out and has to take to the pit exit there to recover the machine. Man, braking for turn 1 is looking treacherous in these conditions.
Well, I think he just touched the paint on the right-hand side of our shot. We drivers left on the run out of turn 1. Who's going to be brave to send it deep down here at turn 3? And again, it is the same driver that was late on the anchors in the 5 machine of Natawat. Goes around the outside at turn 3. Might be looking for a little bit of drive. Out and off into the painted surface and can't find the drive. He had the lift on the outside of turn 3 because he just couldn't get the power down. And here comes that 23 machine of Chinawat. We'll pick up a couple spots right there.
Nuthanuch, Wong Sumbun, the 93 ahead of him. They've managed to catch Superchai a little bit here as well. Superchai was 7 seconds off the pace in Sector 1. So something going awry for our number 7 as this fight still shows no signs of slowing down.
Jack Lemvad also dropped 30 seconds in Sector 1.
Oh, he did indeed. He's all the way back down in 18th now. Yeah, I think that might be an option there. There he is. Jack Lemvad and the number 41 running a bit offline. There's damage to that truck, but we can't see anything from the outside. Potentially a problem with the engine as the Mitsubishi Triton going around there. Lemvad taking to the runoff area as well. Technical problem evidently there for Jack Lemvad.
He's clearly got not a lot of drive, and there's another car feeding. I thought that car was going to pit lane. No, it was not. It was Warris off the pace in the background of that shot. And unfortunately, too late on the brakes. Through comes the 23 machine, Chinawat once more. But in the meantime, Sandy Stuvik, have a look at the gap. 12.7 seconds in 4 laps. That's intense. He is just supreme in the wet conditions. You wonder what he's going to look like behind the wheel of the Porsche later in the weekend in the GT3 category. He'll be partnering Hank Kicks in the first of the B-Quik's acquisitions of Porsches.
Yeah, he does an awful lot here in TSS, does Stuvik, and he has one of the most aerodynamically kitted out trucks in this entire field. I think I remember saying something along these lines last season when I encountered this series for the first time. It's amazing seeing how open the aero regulations are for these trucks, and it shows the teams doing all sorts of things to these trucks to get the pace out of them. But occasionally I see one with diffusers as Lemvad comes into the pits. It looks like that might be a retirement here from the 41. I see diffusers on the back of some of these trucks, and I just wonder, what does that actually do? Are they actually getting the airflow underneath these trucks to make that diffuser work?
Well, there's an attempt at sealing the sides off, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, if it didn't do anything, they wouldn't put it on the truck, right?
Well, not necessarily. Well, yeah, it'd have to do something. Otherwise, you're just adding weight to the truck, and strakes as well. You necessarily wouldn't want to see Sandy Stuvik out of the final corner. will try and get some more power down. The biggest thing for Stuvik right now is he's got that. I hope someone's talking to him about that margin, because it was out over 12 seconds. And I wonder whether or not he's just taking a fair bit easy now that he knows that he's got quite a hefty margin. Because the last thing that you'd want to happen for Stuvik is if a safety car was to come out right now, he eliminates that margin. He's just taken a whole bunch out of those tyres. Is that multiple cars going to pit lane?
Oh, yeah. Looks like we got the 23 and the 5 in there. Chinawut and Nathawut. Black smoke, apparently.
5, 3,
dear.
23, and 24, all black smoke, which I believe will be a drive-through.
Oh, man. Well, part of the competition here, of course, every truck in the field here powered by a diesel engine, and we saw the black smoke off the initial start. You see black smoke pouring out of these things, but you can't do that too much. You got to be careful how you run these engines so that they're not putting that choking black smoke into the air. That's part of the regulations for this series. You put out too much black smoke and you will get that drive through, as that is Jack Lemvard sitting in pit lane as his team tries their best to diagnose the issues with his truck. And
he's trying his best to be happy about it, isn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like he's smiling, but it looks like the kind of smile you use to mask something.
For sure. Certainly a little bit of hurt in that one. 22 machine going toe-to-toe with the 91. So it'll be Jadderon behind the wheel of the 91, and Tanawat runs a little bit wide, opens the door, and to the inside at turn 4. Tanawat's going to try and get down there, does complete the pass. So he will step forward into 9th spot.
Good run. And that will be the battle concluded for now. It's certainly concluded for Stuvik, who's still leading by over 11 seconds. I think Stuvik's... he's going into the pit lane.
He did get a penalty for black smoke.
Oh, he did. Oh, no. Well, good thing he has that 11-second gap then.
He's running through the pit lane. He's lost a touch of time in the last couple of laps. As other drivers start coming forward, maybe looking after their tyres a touch better. Regardless, new race leader will be the 19 machine. We watch and we wait. Where is Stuvik going to rejoin? Timing says he might have gotten back out of the pit lane in 4th.
Yeah, looks like it. I can see on my track map he's back out in 4th place, and considering that his pace was as good as it was at the start, potentially he might be able to get a couple of those positions back, but we're halfway through this race now. Stuvik is going to have to drive like a madman, and he is going to have that potential threat of a black smoke penalty hanging over his head still. Doesn't want to be pouring out more of it, otherwise he'll have to come into the pits again.
Yeah, certainly. Righto. Well, we are now past the halfway marker in this race and running out of time.
Nathawat holding on to 5.5-second lead over Suat here in the 59, who continues to lead Class B. And he's got 6 Class A drivers in between him and the next Class B car, Jataron Emrod. So, fairly good job by Suat thus far. Nathawat Chamnan still leading the way around here. Stuvik back on the pace, though. Out in 4th, and oh dear, he's overcooked it. He's in the gravel. Can he keep it out of the wall? Only just. Oh, man. Stuvik won't be too happy with how this race has gone. He had that absolute lightning start, though he did extend the exit of turn 1 somewhat on lap 1. But dominated this race in the early laps, and it's all gone wrong from down there at turn 8 there, which is proving to be one of the corners that drivers are having the most trouble with. It looks like a fairly simple right-hand sweeper from the air, but I think just about everyone today has had some kind of issue getting their vehicle turned in for that corner.
Yeah, look at the grass that's now been caught up in the front end of that one. So luckily it's cooler conditions, and that one just highlighting as well, Reese, the gravel with a little bit of rain in it actually gets stuck together a little bit, doesn't actually slow the car down. The car actually doesn't sink into it in wetter conditions, but that's okay because, you know, speeds are a fair bit lower in the wet, so it doesn't have to be as great. But yeah, it nearly used everything that was available. When he made the grass, then I thought for sure he was going to find the barriers. So very, very lucky to get away with that one. Or skillful is the other way to look at it from Sandy Stuvik. He's now 13 seconds off the race lead. 7 seconds will need to be found to try and catch back up to Superchai to steal third position away from him.
Yeah, can Stuvik find the pace that he was able to hold on to for the first half of this race? That is the question. 5 laps to go. It took Stuvik basically 5 laps to get that 11-second margin that he had in the lead before his penalty. So statistically it is possible. The rain has certainly stopped, and the track seems to be drying out a little bit more, so the drivers could be finding a tiny bit more pace here as we keep an eye on Superchai with his double-tiered rear wing there. That's frankly insane aerodynamic work. That wing is as high as the roof of the cab of that thing. That's insane.
Well, the thing is, think about the hole in the air that it's punching. There'd be not much air passing down lower to the truck. So I think that first tier of the wing is actually to provide some support structure for the top tier of the wing.
Yeah.
Just to firm it up a little bit, make sure that all of that downforce it's generating is getting transitioned. More traditional wing structure on the 59 machine.
I want to put these trucks in a wind tunnel. Get some actual numbers here.
Low is the numbers of downforce they give you, Reese. They do generate some, but significant is not a number that I would stick to them.
Fair enough. Once again, in the case of the 59, we see the option being taken of removing the tailgate, probably to get a bit more airflow through the rear divisors. As finally out of the truck there is Jack Lemvard, and well, again, he is giving us the smiles, but I can only imagine the disappointment he must be feeling right now after battling hard in the top 10 and retiring from the first race of the season for Super Pickup Division 1.
Yeah, 4 race meetings, 8 races across the season for Super Pickup as well, so 1 race does actually mean a significant amount. In terms of the championship standings, plate's wiped clean at the moment. In terms of points, you know, first race of the season, that's not the right foot that you want to be starting off on. New fastest laps just recently been set by the 22 machine of Tanawat. And we're watching along Superchai at the moment. His most recent lap, his fastest of the race, took 0.3 of a second out of Suwat ahead. So we'll be looking to press on.
Meanwhile, behind Stuvik, behind Waris, sorry, the 22 of Tanawat, trying to go for it here on Waris in the 88, but nothing doing at turn 8 through the never-ending turn 9 that you have to stay tied out of to open up the exit for turn 10, but struggling for a bit of stability there as the number 22 was able to find the slightly grippier part of the racetrack on the outside, though, and is carrying that momentum here. He's going to have a look at the final corner, massively late on the brakes for Tanawat. There is overlap at the turn-in point. He's understeering a bit, pushing wide, and it looks like just giving the position there in the end, the 88. If he didn't, there would probably have been contact there. Sandy Stuvik has indeed found his way back past the two of them. He's up into 4th.
Yeah, but he ran wide at the final corner. Most recent lap for the number 3 machine, 2:14.5. So if he can clean up a few mistakes, he'll be back on the pace with the guys ahead. But the tyres are starting to ail off, Reese. We've seen lap times down as low as a 2:10. Well, again, Tanawat ran a 2:11 with that move that he got done. So this time by, Stuvik might be in a little bit of trouble. Does get the car pulled up a lot better now for turn 3. How about the other side in the wet conditions, alternative lines as well. Reasonable. 3 laps to go. So for Stuvik, 8 seconds off Suat up ahead. And by the way, there's been a change for second place as well. Superchai has managed to get ahead. 1.7 seconds quicker in the first sector on this current lap, so it might have been there.
Yeah, potentially. Now Stuvik struggling for pace, is falling under attack from Tanawat. Having to take some alternate lines there. The number 3 is wide on the way through turn 8, but managing to pull it up there on the exit to just stay ahead for now. But you can see there's very little spray being thrown up by these trucks now. Suvik is wide, and it looks like that'll be Tanawat back through into 4th, or will it be Stuvik containing the momentum of that truck and still managing to keep the inside line? This is turning into a bit of a rough battle between these two.
Yep, no holds barred, no quarters given. As they run out of turn 10, and Stuvik just no straight line speed at the moment, gets crossed over. He'll move to the outside and try and go the long way round. But he was early on the brakes, lifted off quite aggressively right there. Oh, update from race control. This will have implications for the race results. Number 7, Superchai, second place, black smoke penalty. That'll be a transit through the lane.
Oh, no. And Superchai within, 6 seconds or so behind the leader at the line, and had 3.2 seconds back to Suat. Stuvik was able to come back out in 4th place. With Superchai, I think that might put him down to maybe the sort of 6th or 7th area, potentially.
A few trucks in that space at the moment as well, so there's a good chance he anywhere from sort of 6th, 7th, all the way back to about 10th spot, realistically, that he could fall to, but we'd be expecting him to come this time by. I think it might be converted to a 40-second post, either a 30 or 40-second post-race, which would put him to 10th.
Another black smoke penalty for the 66 of Chayapon Chantikit. Down in 23rd place at the moment.
That was about 6 minutes ago that one came out, so we would have expected him to have served that penalty by now.
Yeah, looks like it, yeah. Well, the number 7 is Superchai here. Unclear whether or not he'll take that drive-through or have it be converted into that post-race penalty. But a good drive coming to an end, and oh dear, almost ending in the runoff area there. Every single driver is struggling with turn 8, it seems. I haven't seen a single driver here that hasn't somehow found a problem in turn 8.
It's reconsistency and stability, I think, that's causing the issues at the moment. As race leader will turn it into the final corner. One more lap left to run. And Nantawat has a massive margin that will become bigger, as expecting to see Superchai in the pit lane for a penalty. There he is. So he will get that one served. Won't be converted to a post-race penalty.
Right, so now the question is, where is he going to come out? He had built that gap up to about 4 seconds back to Suat, but he's already through. So is Tanawat, so is Stuvik. And once he completes the next run through the pit lane, we'll get the full story. My timing's showing him back to 5th, back to 6th.
I'm going to say it's probably the 6th. Not bad.
Might just
spot for him
stay
to drop back
ahead
into. Yeah.
of the 7th place back cars. Yeah, just about. So P6 on the timing tower then. Unfortunate penalty there for Superchai. But the final lap, of course, is upon us, Scott, and that's promoted Nantawat out to a 10.6 second lead. Once again, the car that comes out on top is the one that seems to just be taking it the easiest.
Yeah, you say that, but the driver that was probably taking it quite easy and looking after tyres in the opening few laps was actually the 22 machine of Tanawat, and the reason we're talking about him is he's just made his way past Suwat, so that was an overtake for second position. Last time I ran a 2:10.747, Suwat ran a 2:14, so he took 4 seconds out of him on the last lap. He's come from out of nowhere as the 22 machine, and he'd be saying the race controllers, well, I wish this race was probably another 3 laps longer because I might have made a fight and a challenge for the race lead. Final couple corners, down to turn 9. They'll flick it back in here, and he'll just cover, he'll defend. And Suwat will have to try and throw everything at him. The number 19 of Nanthawat driving on a track that is quickly cleaned up, a quickly drying racetrack towards the back end of this one. He'll tip it in at the final corner, and he's going to win race 1 of the Super Pickup Division 1 drivers. Nice and cruisy to the line. The 22 machine pulls it up accurately at the final corner. Job done for him as well. P2 for Tanawat. Suwat home in 3rd. And Sandy Stuvik is having some fun with the rear tyres, or what's left of them, for 4th.
Yep, don't need them anymore. They've done their job for this race. And celebration across the line there for, I think that might have been Waris getting that top 5. Excellent job from the driver of the 88, but on top and maximum points from the first race of the season for Nanthawat Chamnan, with Tanawat and Suwat rounding out your podium. Gotta say though, Stuvik, in spite of that black smoke penalty, still nabbing 4th place. That is quite the statement for the season to come.
Yeah, but I wonder whether or not that's wet conditions related, and this was just his element. Although remember, that car ailed in the back half of the race, so he's got really, really quick front-loaded pace in that car, and rear tyres. Could you imagine, Reese? He was 11 seconds off the lead. I reckon he lost a good 6 seconds or so with mistakes after he come back out, being off the racetrack. That could have been P2 for him.
Yeah, could have been. What might have been for Sandy Stuvik. The Ford Ranger's going to have to settle for 4th for now. Touring back to the pit lane then for number 19, just in time for the majority of the pooling of water on the racetrack to be clear. Nanthawat, Tanawat and Suwat are your podium from the first race of Thailand Super Pickup Division 1. And we'll find for Class A, it is Nanthawat, Tanawat and Sandy Stuvik your podium. In Class B, Suwat takes the victory with Jataron and Surachai in 2nd and 3rd. And we'll say our goodbyes to Scott Rankin as I'll take you guys through the final results here from the day. 2 minutes 10.7 from Tanawat, fastest lap of the race in truck number 22. And 2 minute 12 there is the overall best time of a clean lap from Nanthawat. Brilliant race from the number 19. And just brilliant racing all up from Thailand Super Series today here at Chang International Circuit. That's going to be the last of the races that we bring to you here today on the English language commentary stream. So in preparation for the post-race interviews, I'm Reese Gardner, Scott Rankin alongside me in the commentary box. And a big thanks to all the crew at TSS and at Speed Cafe as well for helping us get this English language stream off the ground. We're going to be back tomorrow for the big racing on Saturday. We'll start off with Super Pickup Division 1, then Super Eco and Super Touring in the morning, starting at round about 9 a.m. local time. Then there'll be a lunch break and Thailand Super Pickup Division 2 and Supercars with F4 Southeast Asia as well, rounding things off in the afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow here. Big thanks to everyone for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
แน่นอนนะครับคุณผู้ชมครับสำหรับการแข่งขัน Thailand Super Series 2025 นะครับในรุ่น Thailand Super Pickup Division 1 Class A และ Class B นะครับผู้ที่เข้ามาเป็นอันดับที่ 3 นะครับแน่นอนนะครับนั่นก็คือสุวัฒน์ลิ้มจิระพิญญาหรือพีทสุพันธ์นั่นเองครับสวัสดีครับพีทครับเป็นยังไงบ้างครับ
ก็สนุกดีครับฝนตก
โอ้โหมาเป็นที่3 overall แต่เป็นที่ 1 ใน Class B โอ้โหถือว่าเบิกเลิกเบิกชัยกับซีซั่นนี้อย่างดีเลย
ถือว่าเปิดได้สวยครับ
รู้สึกอย่างไรบ้างในเรื่องของการเตรียมความพร้อมในการเข้ามาในสนามในปีแรก
ปีนี้ก็ด้วยกติกาที่เปลี่ยนไปนะครับเราก็มีการคุยกันหน่วยเกษตรรถขึ้นมาใหม่ให้ถูกตามกติกาและแรงแล้วก็วิ่งได้ดีครับ
อะไรบ้างที่เปลี่ยนไปอยากจะบอกคุณผู้ชมว่า
ก็อย่างในเรื่องของรถเครื่อง 2,500 หรือ 3,000 ครับทางอิสุก็จะโดนโบนน้ำหนักเพิ่ม แล้วก็มีการรีปักเหลือ 42 ครับ ใช่
แน่นอนก็เป็นกฎกติกาที่เปลี่ยนเข้ามาใหม่เนาะแต่ก็แน่นอนก็เข้ามาเป็นอันดับ 3 ถือว่าพอใจพรุ่งนี้ยังอยู่ในกริดสตาร์ทเดิมที่ 3 เหมือนเดิม
ใช่ครับ ย้ายจาก 5 ขึ้นมา 3 ครับ
แน่นอนนะฮะก็ถือว่าคงที่ไม่ต้องถูกถ่วงน้ำหนักอะไรใช่ไหมฮะ
ไม่ได้ใจเหมือนกัน
จะถูกอยู่โอเคไม่เป็นไรแต่ถือว่าพรุ่งนี้ก็ออกตัวดีเหมือนกันฝากถึงแฟนๆหน่อยครับ
ก็ฝากแฟนๆเชียร์ทีมอิซูซูพันโยโกฮาม่าลิควิดมอรี่เลสซิ่งทีมด้วยครับเหลืออีก2 เลขครับ
ครับขอบพระคุณครับพีทสุวัฒน์ลิ้มจิระพิญญานะฮะคุณผู้ชมฮะไปอันดับ 2 กันต่อนะฮะจากนี้เลยฮะหมายเลข 22 ธนวัฒน์สุรรัตน์พี่โต้งสตาร์สวัสดีครับโอ้โหไม่เจอไม่เจอนานเป็นยังไงบ้างครับสำหรับโหเรสนี้
ช่วงออกสตาร์ทนะครับออกไม่ทันเวลาประตูปิดออกจากฮิสเลนครับแล้วไล่ขึ้นไปก็ค่อนข้างเหนื่อย
ถามจริงก็คือไปอยู่ท้ายแถว
อยู่ในพิทเลนที่ยังไม่ได้อยู่ในท้ายแถวอะครับต้องรอให้รถกลุ่มเนี่ยออกไปก่อนเพราะว่าเราด้วยกติกาครับที่เป็น FIA นะครับมันแบบว่าสากลทุกอย่างต้องตรงตามเวลาเราช้าเองโทษใครไม่ได้คราวเนี้ยด้วยเขาปิดประตูทางเข้าเราก็ต้องรอจนกว่ารู้เสียโอกาสแต่ว่าก็พยายามทำให้ดีที่สุดเพราะว่าวันนี้ค่อนข้างฝนตกแล้วผมมาเซ็ตรถค่อนข้างลงตัวครับผม
ก็ยิ่งกว่าท้ายแถวแล้วกันถูกไหมฮะผมก็ออกไปแล้วถ้าถือว่าแต่ทำมาถึงอันดับ 2 Amazing และเซอร์ไพรส์มาก
ผมเองก็งงเหมือนกันครับ ไม่ใช่แค่พี่งง
ถือว่าปีนี้มาดีพี่โต้งยังไงฝากถึงแฟนๆหน่อยครับ
ครับฝากติดตามโต้งสตาร์นะครับหรือธนวัฒน์นะครับทีมจูนไบโอสครับ BRC 6นะครับแล้วก็หลายๆตัวครับครับผม
ขอบพระคุณครับขอบคุณครับพี่โต้งสตันนะครับและแน่นอนนะครับเปลี่ยนสีรถมาขึ้นมาเป็นอันดับ 1เฉยเลยสวัสดีครับแสดงความยินดีด้วยครับพี่เต้เป็นยังไงบ้างครับ
สนุกดีครับพอดีชอบฝนอยู่แล้วใช่
แล้วสีรถทำไมถึงเปลี่ยนใหม่ฮะ
ก็เขาพี่ปืนอากานะเขาก็จัดให้ครับเขาบอกว่าเป็นแดงอมหิตครับผม
อ๋ออันนี้คือแดงอมหิตเลย
ใช่นี่ครับลายพราง
อ๋อ
ใช่
โอเคเลยนะฮะแต่ว่าความสามารถเนี่ยมันไม่ขึ้นอยู่กับสีรถนะครับ
ผมขอบคุณครับ
มาถึงอันดับ 1นี่ได้ยังไงบ้าง
ก็สนุกดีครับก็ถามว่าก็เก็บเกี่ยวประสบการณ์แล้วก็ตอนที่วิ่งอะครับก็คือก็ยอมรับว่าแท็กมันลื่น แต่เราก็ต้องคอนโทรลคันเร่งกับเบรกให้ได้ครับครับ
ก็ถือว่าเข้ามาเส้นชัยพรุ่งนี้ต้องมาอยู่ในกริดที่
ครับผมก็งานบ้านเยอะหน่อยน้ำหนักเพิ่มขึ้น แต่ถ้าฝนตกก็สนุกอีกครับผม
5ก็ถือว่ามันแน่ๆฝากแฟนๆติดตามด้วยนะฮะ
ก็ฝากติดตามด้วยนะครับเบอร์ 19 ครับผมนันทวัฒน์ชำนาญครับผมคาร์ด A ครับผม
ขอบพระคุณครับที่1 overall และเป็นที่1ในคลาส A นะครับกับพี่เต้นันทวัฒน์ชำนาญนะครับกับคลาส D นะครับ Thailand Super Pickup Division 1 คลาส A และคลาส B แน่นอนแต่ความมันยังคงอยู่นะครับสำหรับรายการ B-Quik Thailand Super Series นะครับติดตามกันให้ดีครับ